Hi guys, this is Hirosaki. This story is all about what if Naruto uncovers his true potential. One discussion in the academy introduces Naruto to his first real friends and changes his life forever. Together, they will work hard, push each other, and unlock their true potential. Before we start, kindly like and subscribe to this channel, and look over the description box for the author of this amazing storyline. Welcome aboard. Chapter 8, The IWA Shinobi. Anyway, allow me to introduce myself. I am the IWA Jonin in charge of these genin. My name is Han. Introductions were made quickly for the new figure, Han. The Konoha Shinobi noticed that the man didn't seem to really care about their names, but they continued to introduce themselves. He waited patiently for them to finish before he started to speak. Well, with that taken care of, let's get down to business, Han declared as he pulled out a scroll and showed it to the group. As you can see, we are the team assigned to escort the merchant, Yen, back to his home. Yes, I can see. Anko nodded. The woman, usually joking around and relaxed, was uncharacteristically serious and uneasy when speaking to the IWA Jonin. Our mission was to ensure our client's safety while we deliver him to you and your team. We can hand him over to your care now and complete the mission. Naruto liked the sound of that. First C rank done, Databeo. That's one step closer to Hokage. Other than his general excitement, he was also excited to leave the presence of the IWA Shinobi. He would miss Yen, but he'd be glad to get away from IWA. Before you leave though, I would like to make a request to you and your team. Han spoke up again. Naruto's happiness faded away, replaced with confusion. His teammates looked at the man with similar confusion, wondering what the armor-clad shinobi could be wanting to request. Noticing their stares, he pointed to the sky. The sun was starting to set and it was starting to get darker. It's going to be night soon, and it would be unwise to travel late at night in the dark. Dangers lurk around, and when you are escorting someone, you want to make sure the client is always protected. We are going to camp here, and I would like to request you all help in looking after Yen-san for this one night. After all, he is your client as well. Han informed the group. His words caused an immediate negative reaction. No way! Roto exclaimed angrily. Surely you are joking, Han-sensei. We can't stay with Konoha Shinobi. Risho shouted, just as angry as his teammate. Naruto was about to shout back and defend his village, but his words died on his tongue as Han started to speak again. I don't joke around. Are you two questioning my authority? He asked the two male genin, turning his eyes towards them. His normal bitter, bored tone of voice picked up a hint of annoyance. Roto flinched under his sensei's gaze and shook his head nervously. Risho, however, didn't appear to be affected by his sensei's questioning. No, I feel you are being rational as always, sensei. However, they are Konoha. We can't trust them to watch over the merchant for longer than they have to. I also wouldn't put it past them to kill him now and then pin the blame on us. He explained loudly. Between the four IWA ninja, I wonder which one hates Konoha most. Shikamaru thought sarcastically as he rolled his eyes. Risho, be quiet. Han ordered. The sword-wielding boy seemed to finally accept his sensei's words. He remained quiet, only silently glaring at the Konoha ninja. Han turned his head and faced Kuratsuchi, giving her a look that asked her if she had any complaints. The kunoichi shook her head. Well, my team has no complaints with this arrangement. Is this fine with you? He asked Anko. Yes, it is. It makes sense after all, and we would like to make sure Yen is okay, Anko stated. She then turned her attention to her students. This is okay with you guys, right? Hinata nodded in affirmation. Shikamaru sighed before doing the same. It does, sensei. Naruto answered begrudgingly for himself. Then it's decided. Good. Han noted in an uncaring tone, as if he truly didn't care that his proposal was just accepted. "We've already set up camp, so you can all stay with us. We will lead you there. Let's go." With those words, the Jonin started to walk into the nearby forest, not even waiting for the group to follow him. Silence filled the air as the ninja watched him leave until Koratsuchi cleared her throat to grab everyone's attention. "Well, we all heard what Han-sensei said. Let's head on over to the camp." She spoke up. The remaining members of the group nodded at the kunoichi's words and proceeded to follow the armor-wearing Jonin to the camp. During the walk, Risho and Roto would glare at the Konoha ninja. Naruto noticed this and returned their glares with his own. Koratsuchi seemed to be focused on getting to camp, but would occasionally turn her head to glance at Naruto every few seconds. Hinata looked back and forth between everyone present, visibly bothered by the hostility and trying to think of a way to help quell it. Shikamaru noticed all the eyes and couldn't help but inwardly groan in frustration at all the tension around him. "I'm starting to think I may have made a mistake with requesting this mission," Yen thought to himself. The merchant was terrified as he walked quietly. He was unused to the intense tension and hostility in the air. "I knew Konoha and IWA weren't on the best of terms, but I thought things were getting better. I guess not. Holy shit. There's got to be some way to relieve some of this tension," Anko thought, disturbed as well by the uncomfortable silence. Then again, I really shouldn't care about that. That's expected whenever Konoha and IWA interact nowadays. What I should think about is what I didn't expect, like why Yuga no Han is here. Anko's thoughts turned back to the IWA Jonin present. The Tokubetsu Jonin continued to ponder why the man was here and what actions she would have to take due to his presence. Silence reigned over the walk. The walk, while short in length, was long and uncomfortable for everyone. The tension seemed to intensify with each step. Eventually, though, the shinobi and Yen reached a simple campsite. A tent was set up and a fire was already lit. They had arrived at the IWA camp, but only one thing was missing. "Hey, if this is your camp, then where is your sensei?" Shikamaru questioned the IWA shinobi. "Oh yeah, sensei does that. He doesn't spend much time at camp whenever we set it up. He prefers to spend most of his time alone," Koratsuchi explained. She had a frown on her face, seemingly bothered by her sensei's aloof attitude. "Han-sensei isn't much of a people person," Roto added with a shiver. "Why is that?" Yen asked curiously, trying to learn a few things about this new group he would be traveling with. "He has his reasons for his behavior," Risho replied. It was the first time his voice wasn't filled with hate and disgust. It was rather deep and seemed to have a sad undertone to it. Silence filled the group once again. Luckily for everyone, though, that Koratsuchi decided to try and relieve the tension. "So, everyone make themselves at home here. We can talk about some chores for all of us to do, and then get started on cooking up something for all of us to eat. That sound good to everybody?" she asked. Everyone nodded and walked over to the fire to sit down and discuss the plan for their night. As they walked over, Risho noticed something about the Konoha shinobi. "Not that I overly care, but where's your sensei?" he asked them. Naruto mumbled in confusion as he and his teammates turned around. Like Risho stated, Anko was not in sight. She had disappeared from the campsite. "Strange. She walked with us to camp," Shikamaru noted. "Guess she just vanished." Lazy senseis wanting the genin to do work," Naruto mumbled in frustration. Roto couldn't hold back a laugh at the blonde's words. "Yep, leave it all to the genin." Naruto temporarily forgot about his hatred for IWA and gave his fellow genin a thumbs up and a nod in agreement. "It doesn't matter where our senseis are. All that matters is that we look after the client and get preparations for the night done," Koratsuchi informed everyone, slightly annoyed. She was used to her sensei being aloof and not caring about camp, so she didn't really care if the Konoha sensei was the same way. Now, for the tasks. Who wants to go out looking for more firewood with me? 'Cause we are probably going to need some more. The genin proceeded to discuss about the plans for the night and for the camp. The two jonin sensei continued to be missing in action. Finally, found him. Anko sighed in relief after finding her target. You'd think with such visible armor that he'd be easy to find. When Anko noticed that Han was not at the camp, she left to go find him on her own. The Tokubetsu Jonin was still concerned about his presence and felt that she should find him and observe him. After a good few minutes of looking, she finally found the armor-wearing shinobi. To her surprise, he was sitting down on the ground preparing himself a cup of tea in a pot. Where the hell did the pot come from? I know he didn't have that when we were talking earlier. The woman continued to watch him as he prepared his tea, looking for any signs of suspicious behavior. The man appeared to not notice her. Only when he finished his preparation of the tea did he address the woman. I know you are out there, Anko-san, so you don't have to keep hiding. Han spoke aloud. Anko cursed under her breath as she got out of her hiding spot. She walked up to the IWA Jonin and faced him. Is there any reason you went off on your own after we set up camp? She asked him curiously. I'm not a fan of big groups. The armor-wearing shinobi replied simply as he moved the cloth covering his mouth down and took a sip of the cup of tea in his hands. Anko took the time to actually notice the tea. Her eyes widened when she saw the amount of steam pouring out of it. Just how hot is that? Is that even possible? Well, why suggest the idea of camping together then? The Tokubetsu Jonin questioned, slightly shaking her head as she turned from the blazing hot tea to the man drinking it. It was simply a practical thought. Best way to watch over the client and make sure he is protected. He replied back after taking another sip. Silence filled the air as the two senseis stared at each other. Han studied the girl with critical eyes. Anko mentally cursed under his gaze, feeling awkward by the silence. She had a lot she wanted to find out from the man, and she was having a hard time talking to him for some reason. I'm usually more calm than this. What the hell is going on, Anko? She shouted inwardly. You obviously have something you want to say or ask me, so go ahead. Go ahead. There must be some reason you were observing me so diligently after all. Han informed her as he sat his teacup down to pay full attention to the woman. I was just curious about things. That's all. Anko informed him, finally picking up some nerve. After all, I actually thought you weren't an IWA shinobi anymore. So, I do find it a tad suspicious that you are now a Jonin sensei in charge of a mission involving Konoha. Oh? The IWA Jonin now seemed bored with the conversation, as he picked up his teacup and started to drink again. Well, according to Konoha and other villages' information, you vanished after the Third Shinobi World War. No one has seen or heard from you since. That should be impossible, considering the reputation you gathered. Rumors claim that you defected. The woman explained. The suspicions, I feel, are justified. Well then, you should inform your Hokage to fire his spies in IWA, as I am still a shinobi there. He replied in the same bored and distant tone. Not like IWA truly wants me as one of their shinobi though. Anko looked at the man with confusion, not fully understanding. Han seemed to notice her confusion and decided to elaborate. I'm sure you know of my involvement in the Third Shinobi World War. He stated. Add that to my status as the Gobi Jinchuriki, and you have a village that wants nothing more than to see me die on a suicide mission. Anko nodded in understanding, a frown creeping on her face. Han was an infamous ninja from IWA, and therefore, had been studied by Konoha shinobi. She knew the details of his role in the Third Shinobi World War, as well as his status as the current Gobi Jinchuriki, and felt saddened that he was still hated years after everything. The snake summoner couldn't help but relate. Han's eyes narrowed on her, as he started to understand her line of thinking. Don't pity me, I'm not someone who needs it. We are from opposing villages anyway, why not you pity your blonde student instead? The purple-haired woman's eyes narrowed in response. So, you know of his status as well? He let out a humorless laugh in response. Of course I do. I can sense the chakra of his biju even from here. IWA also never believed the lies Konoha made up about the Kyuubi's death. This conversation just merely confirms it. He's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Han took one more sip of his tea before he spoke again. Even if we factored all of that out, I can see the loneliness in his eyes. His eyes are filled with the same depression and mistreatment that all Jinchuriki possess. The armor-wearing shinobi's voice took a slight change. Disappointment was evident in it. From what I heard of your village, I thought Konoha would treat its Jinchuriki better. But I guess I shouldn't have expected anything different. You humans are too ignorant to see the difference from a beast and its container. You're human too. And so is he. Anko informed him, confused about the man's words. No, I am a Jinchuriki. Not an ignorant human nor a demon like your kind calls us. He told her sharply. What of the boy? I wonder if he sees himself as a demon because of your village. While not everyone likes the kid, he's not hated by all. I trust him, as does his teammates, and he's special to us. He's no demon and he certainly doesn't see himself as one. Anko stated sharply. She didn't like the direction this conversation was going and wanted to put into it. Really? Don't worry, it'll come. He's young. He's naive. He'll learn how this world works soon enough. Han replied just as sharply. And you'll do nothing to help him. Not after future events happen that change your perception of him. After all, you are only human. Anko glared at the man in front of her. She opened her mouth to rebuff his claims, but was interrupted as Han got up from his spot, picking up the teapot and his cup. If this is all we have to talk about, then I must say we are finished. I'm bored of this. He mentions, a strong sense of finality of his voice. I'll go check up on our client. If you wish, go look for any threats to his safety. You can be on the lookout for them now. I'll take up watch at night, so you can get sleep. Farewell, Anko-san. The man disappeared after speaking in a poof of smoke. Anko stared blankly at where the man was before she started to scowl. Well, that conversation could have gone better. She huffed to herself. Well, whatever. He doesn't seem like he'll be a threat to this mission. He also shouldn't be too much of an issue, since he seems to have no hatred for Konoha, just humanity in general. Although, that itself does bother me. He really hates people. Anko noted in her head. She inwardly shivered, remembering his cold, bored, distant tone of voice. And then I don't like where he was going with that Naruto part. Anko shook her head, clearing her thoughts. She decided it would be a good idea to do as Han suggested and search for any nearby enemies and maybe place some traps. The woman began her mission to ensure Yen's safety. Yet in the back of her head, she couldn't help but still think of Han's words. I really hope he and Naruto don't really talk much. The genin of Konoha and IWA drafted a plan on activities for the camp. Hinata and Risho were to wait back at camp and watch over and protect Yen. Naruto and Roto were sent off into the forest to a nearby lake and see if they could catch any fish. Shikamaru and Kuratsuchi decided to go into the forest and collect more firewood for the fire. The two genin were currently scanning the forest ground, looking for good wood to burn. Sorry about my teammates, by the way. Kuratsuchi apologized while she and Shikamaru were starting their search. They are kind of unruly when Konoha is ever brought up. Shikamaru raised his eyebrows at her sudden apology. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry about my blonde friend as well. While we are talking about it, though, why do you not hate us as much? It seems the rest of your team wants nothing more than for all of us to die. Oh, trust me, I'm not overly fond of Konoha myself. I won't deny it. Having said that, I don't have anything against you guys, and I also realize that you guys are helping out with the mission. Kuratsuchi explained. Besides, my teammates are more hateful than the common IWA ninja. Oh? The Nara questioned. This conversation was getting intriguing to him, and he felt information about the Konoha IWA rivalry could only prove to be useful in the future. Well, yeah. Roto comes from a civilian family, and they are the most hateful towards anything Konoha of all the people in IWA. Funny too, considering they don't even fight or deal with you people. The Kunoichi noted with a scoff. As for Risho, he comes from a clan that has much respect in IWA as the Hyuga have in your village, so he's very prideful. And his clan had the highest number of deaths in the Third War, so he has a very deep hatred for Konoha because of that. So, he has that, and probably a gigantic stick up his ass if his clan is anything like the Hyuga. Shikamaru noted sarcastically. That too. Kuratsuchi agreed, actually laughing a little. Shikamaru couldn't help but notice the girl's laugh, but shrugged off the thoughts before they developed. Anyway, mind if I ask about the blonde, Naruto, right? He obviously dislikes IWA more than you, your other teammate, and your sensei. Any particular reason why? Shikamaru noted she was doing the exact same thing that he did to her. Still, he didn't seem to care. Not like giving this info would actually affect us. Naruto grew up an orphan, and the orphanage doesn't promote the best image of IWA at all. After all, a good portion of kids in Konoha were orphaned in the last war by IWA alone. Naruto's really sensitive about family, so the fact that your village orphaned the most Konoha kids doesn't sit well with him. That and the fact that he has more pride in Konoha than most ninja. Shikamaru explained his friend's strong feelings. Kuratsuchi's eyebrows rose at this new information. I wonder. He's an orphan, huh? Well, I assume his parents didn't die in the war, since our generation had us just after the war. She noted. Probably not. Can't answer that question though, because I don't know who his parents were. Shikamaru shrugged. Really? She asked. If he was his child, I'd assume he'd be celebrated as a son of a hero. The fact his parents are unknown probably proves that he isn't his son. Still, he looks too much like him. Kuratsuchi proceeded to stop in their search for firewood and stand still in deep thought. Shikamaru noticed this and studied the kunoichi. After a few seconds, the boy felt himself get worried. Why would she be thinking hard about a comment like that? So, Naruto's an orphan who doesn't know his parents, so? What relevance does that piece of info have? The Nara failed to see how this warranted major thought, so he started to get worried that somehow the information was something he should have kept quiet. I don't know why she's thinking about it so hard, but I have to get her distracted. So, why don't you tell me about yourself? He asked suddenly. The pink-eyed girl looked at the boy in surprise, having been interrupted from her thoughts. Me? Why? What do you want to know? Well, you seem to be the leader of your team when your sensei isn't around, so there's got to be something special about you. And I'm just curious. Shikamaru shrugged, trying to justify the questioning. The black-haired girl thought to herself for a second if she actually wanted to share anything about herself. She took another look at Shikamaru, who was looking at her rather curiously. What the hell? I'm probably not even on the right path with my theory about the boy. For now, might as well enjoy a conversation with someone that isn't one of my idiotic teammates. Well, I guess the first thing you should probably know is that I'm the granddaughter of Inoki, Artsukage. She mentioned. The kunoichi giggled when she noticed the surprised look on Shikamaru's face. You think that's surprising? Just you wait, 'cause I'll be the Artsukage soon myself. The old fart will retire soon because of his back, and then I'll take the title. Give me 5 years tops. You seem confident in your abilities. The Nara noted with a smirk. Course I am. The person who knows you best and can judge you best is yourself. Kuratsuchi explained. What about you? You're a Nara, aren't you? I assume you're some genius? Shikamaru shrugged. Probably, but I really don't want to get myself tested or anything. I'd rather spend my time relaxing and watching clouds. Really? She questioned with a frown. Guess that makes you a lazy ass. The Nara groaned. Even the girl from IWA? Ugh. Troublesome. Why does everyone call me that nowadays? The two genin continued their search for firewood, chatting with each other about themselves. What started as an attempt from Shikamaru to stall the girl actually turned out to be a fun experience for the two. It was good to know that bad relations between their villages couldn't stop the two from making a friend in each other. Ah. Come on. Naruto whined as he pulled back his fishing line. His bait was still visible and no fish was caught. Come on. I knew Konoha Shinobi sucked, but I didn't know this bad. Roto laughed, still holding on to his fishing line. When duties were assigned, Roto led Naruto to a nearby lake to see if they could catch some fish for dinner that night. They had only been out for about 20 minutes, and Naruto had failed to catch anything. This was a strong contrast to the IWA shinobi to his right, who had already caught 2 fish in the time. Oh, shut up. You're just lucky. Naruto huffed, turning back to the lake and sending his fishing line back into the lake. Well then Lady Luck must really love me, because this seems more than coincidence. Roto noted with another laugh as he continued to stare at the lake. A minute passed before Naruto started to feel a little tugging. The blonde immediately reacted with excitement as he started reeling in. He forgot about all of his past failures in the lake today, and just imagined the delicious fish he was about to bring into camp. Said imagination disappeared the second Naruto pulled up his line. Not only was there no fish, but the bait was gone. A fish had eaten it and got away, leaving Naruto empty-handed. Oh, come on! He shouted, pounding his hand on the ground near the lake in frustration. What the hell is wrong with me? Coming from an outside source, a lot of things. Roto replied. There was more venom and less humor in this statement. Naruto prepared an argument back for the IWA ninja, but stopped when he noticed the boy's line tugging. The sunglasses-wearing shinobi began pulling in carefully. When he finished bringing his line up, he had found a large fish caught on it. Guess that makes number 3. And it hasn't even been 30 minutes yet. Lucky day so far. Roto laughed as he tossed the fish to the pile where his other caught fish were. Naruto watched the IWA shinobi prepare his fishing line once again with envy. Why am I having such a hard time, and he isn't Databeo? A part of Naruto wanted to be jealous and fumed that he was being shown up by an IWA shinobi. Another part, however, was really wanting to catch some fish and bring some to his team. This part really wanted to learn what he was doing wrong. In the end, the latter part of his mind won. Hey, Roto. Naruto mumbled, looking down to the ground for a second. Roto turned to the Konoha shinobi and looked at him, annoyed at being disturbed. Can you tell me what I'm doing wrong? The boy's request shocked the IWA shinobi. The blonde, as Roto had seen him, had been stubborn, loud, annoying, and stupid all day so far. To see him asking for help was quite a surprise. His first initial response was to deny the request, not wanting to assist a Konoha shinobi. Still, he knew that any fish that the other boy caught would only go to the dinner. Well, your main problem is you rush. You don't wait long enough, thinking you feel something, and you end up pulling out nothing. I also think you may do too much of an initial pull when you are reeling in the fish. I don't think you actually hook any fish, but you instead just startle it and cause it to get away. That's what I think your main problems are. Roto informed him. Try it one more time and see. Naruto nodded and did exactly what the IWA shinobi told him to do. After getting bait on his line, Naruto tossed in his fishing line and waited, keeping his eyes on the line. Now, just wait. Give the fish some time to come over and get the bait. Roto continued to instruct. Naruto nodded. You seem to know a lot about fishing. I should. It's one of my favorite hobbies after all. The sunglasses-wearing ninja mentioned. Really? Naruto looked at him, curiously. Yup. Why do you think we are fishing instead of hunting for some animal? 'Cause I'm a fishing pro. Roto laughed. He looked over at the lake fondly as he prepared his own fishing line. My mom and dad would always take me fishing on some of the lakes near IWA as a kid. We still go at least once a month. After all the time I've done it, I've picked up a love for it, and I think I'm decent at it. Wow, that's pretty cool. Naruto noted, surprised. Yup. The boy mentioned as he tossed in his fishing line after his preparations. He waited right next to Naruto for his own fish. For a moment, Roto seemed to forget Naruto was from Konoha, and started to talk personally. You know, looking at a lake like this always makes me think. I always thought I was going to end up becoming a fisherman one day. I mean, I'm from a civilian family, so I have no background as a shinobi in any way. My parents were shocked when I broke the news to them. Why'd you become one then? Naruto asked curiously. He, too, for a moment, forgot about Konoha and Iwa's feud. Right now, he was just curious about the boy next to him. Well, I love IWA and I want to do my part for the village. The village has done so much for me and my family that I felt like I had to do something back for it, and what better way than defending it? The boy explained. It was then he realized who he was talking to, a ninja from Konoha. His eyes got a lot harder as he stared at Naruto. Naruto, however, didn't return the same hard glare. He actually gave him a smile and an understanding nod. I'm the same way for Konoha. I understand. We just want our village to succeed. And you know, we can help our villages accomplish that databao. For the second time in a row, Roto was stunned by something Naruto had said. He was about to respond to it, but was stopped as Naruto felt his fishing line tug. Hey, it's tugging. He cheered. Be careful this time. Make sure you actually hook the thing in and reel it in. The boy instructed. Naruto nodded and took careful note of the other boy's words. After he finally reeled in his fishing line, the blonde was surprised to see a large fish attached to the hook. The surprise soon turned to joy as he took the fish off and held it in his hands excitedly. Ha, look, Roto. I caught one. Naruto grinned, holding up his fish proudly. Not bad. Not bad, for a Konoha shinobi. He mumbled sarcastically. Truth be told, the boy was impressed by the fish's size. Still, he couldn't help but throw in a dig against Konoha. Hey! Naruto shouted, ready to defend his village. The two boys continued to fish for another 30 minutes before turning back to camp with 10 fish. During the time they spent, the two competed against each other and tried to outdo each other. They would make sarcastic and rude comments about each other and the other's village, but the venom in their comments seemed to have vanished. It was all in play and good fun this time. The two boys, perhaps, were on their way to putting the rivalry between Konoha and IWA to the side. Hinata had always been shy and introverted. In recent days she had been getting more talkative and open with the people around her, mostly thanks to Naruto, Shikamaru, and Anko, but she was still rather quiet. Right now, Hinata was going beyond being rather quiet. Risho and Yen were engaging in conversations similar to the ones she and her team had with the merchant on the first day of the mission. The Hyuga heiress had tried to enter the conversation herself a couple of times, but the IWA shinobi would always interrupt her or ignore any point she made. He was actively ignoring her and trying to keep Yen away from talking with her. So Risho-sama, why don't you tell me a little about your clan? I think I've heard the name before. Yen asked, trying to learn as much as he could about the IWA shinobi he would be traveling with. Risho's eyes seemed to have lit up with pride as he started to speak. I come from the Kurogane clan, one of the 3 elite clans of Iwagakure. My clan is held in high regard by all shinobi thanks to our Kekei Genkai, the Iron Release. Our abilities have made members of my clan the main force of Iwa's shinobi forces. Hinata sighed as she listened in. Risho continued to go on and on about his clan, and how special and elite they were. He went into great detail on the clan head, and the well-known members of the clan, and answering questions that Yen hadn't even asked. All of this was told in a very prideful tone of voice. The sad part to Hinata, however, was that this wasn't the first time she dealt with someone like this. He reminds me of some of the other main branch members in my clan. The Hyuga heiress realized with a groan. I seriously hope I don't sound like this whenever someone asks me about my clan. You know, your clan reminds me of the Hyuga clan that Hinata's from. They sound just as powerful and respected. Yen noted to himself, pleased with the comparison. This conversation was proving to be very enlightening to the merchant, as he was starting to be able to make connections and comparisons between the shinobi villages. Risho wasn't as thrilled with this comparison. He scoffed loudly before continuing. Please? The Hyuga hold no candle to the might of the Kurogane clan. We are an elite that surpasses any clan from other villages, especially ones from Konoha of all places. The lavender-haired heiress stiffened at his words. In addition to all the excess pride and arrogance, Risho was very keen on saying things to insult Konoha, and by proxy her. He had no idea that he could be offending her, or if he did, he didn't care. Yen would often try and say something polite about Konoha to balance off his hate, but Risho would just shut down whatever he would say. The conversation would then continue, getting even more awkward for Hinata. Please, Naruto, Shikamaru, Anko-sensei, get over here. She pleaded, hoping to have someone to either talk or to help alleviate the awkwardness. Hinata's wishes weren't granted for another 20 minutes. Shikamaru and Kuratsuchi came back, holding a couple of logs and chatting amiably. Naruto and Roto also came back around the same time, carrying back the fish they caught. Relief spread over the girl as she was able to converse amongst her friends and not have to listen to Risho talk. After a few minutes, Roto started to prepare and cook the fish. The ninja and Yen watched, each one staring hungrily at the cooking fish. Looks pretty damn tasty, doesn't it? A voice notes with the same hunger. Everyone nearly jumps up in surprise as they turn to face the voice. They see Anko standing around grinning, as if she had been there the entire time. Naruto wasn't having any of that. Where the hell were you, Anko-sensei? And you better damn well not think you are getting any of the fish. Naruto shouted at her angrily. You better believe I am. I'm your sensei, so I order you. She replies with a scoff. As for where I was scanning the nearby area for any enemy ninja or thugs. You all will be pleased to know that there was a group of bandits around near the edge of the forest waiting for nighttime. So I killed them and set up traps for any other possible intruders. That a good enough explanation for where I was? Anko's students gulped at her words. Anko had no problem talking about killing, which sometimes actually bothered the younger, more innocent ninja. Hinata, who still remembered the feeling of taking a life, shuddered the most among the 3. Nevertheless, the 3 didn't say anything about their discomfort. They just listened to their sensei's words and left it at that. After a few more minutes, the fish was finished cooking. Everyone immediately started to dig into the food. In the middle of the dinner, however, Hinata felt like she had to address something. Where is Han-san? Shouldn't he be eating with us? She stuttered out nervously to the IWA ninja. Kuratsuchi frowned in response. He spends all of this time by himself. He'll only come back when it's time to sleep, in which case he will take watch for any possible enemy that could attack at night. Otherwise, you won't see him here. He pretty much hates interacting with people. That's an understatement. Anko noted bitterly in her head. No conversation carried from that point. The shinobi and Yin ate the rest of their fish in silence. By the time they had finished, night was coming around and a figure could be seen walking towards camp. As it got closer, it revealed itself to be Han. Han-sama. There you are. Yen cheered at the sight of the IWA Jonin. Where were you all this time? Resting. After all, I am going to be the one to stay up and keep watch. Han replied simply as he turned his head to the genin. It's late. You should all be getting sleep. The man spoke with a demanding tone. None of the genin were up to the task of denying his request. The 6 of them, plus Yin, all bid everyone good night before going off to their sleeping bags. Han then turned his attention to Anko. You should sleep as well. It's a long way to Konoha after all. Han informed her. PSH. I'm fine. I can stay up with you or even take your place. I already was scanning for enemies earlier anyway. Anko informed him. No, I'll be the one to stay awake. I admit that I got some rest since the time of our last conversation. Now it is your turn. Go to sleep. Han ordered, staring intently at the woman. Anko may have been a stubborn woman, but even she knew a battle that she wasn't going to win. With a heavy sigh, she went over to her own sleeping bag and prepared for sleep. 30 minutes passed before she and the others fell asleep. Han continued to stay up alone, just the way he wanted it. Hours had passed, and it was now deep into the night. All the shinobi, minus Han, were asleep in their sleeping bags in the camp, with one other exception. Bathroom. Naruto grumbled tiredly as he got up from his sleeping bag. The blonde walked in a sleep days away from camp to do his business. After he had finished, the boy walked back with full intention of going back to sleep. Good evening, Naruto-san. Having trouble sleeping? Naruto's eyes shot wide open in surprise as he started to scan the area for the voice that scared him. It took him a few seconds to find the source of his voice, Han, who was sitting on the ground by the fire with a cup of tea in his hands. Hey Han. Naruto sputtered nervously. And no, I'm not. I just woke up and had to take a piss. The IWA Jonin raised his eyebrows in response to his words. I see. After a little while, Naruto got over the initial shock of running into the man and was now curious about him. The elusive IWA Jonin had kept to himself the entire time at camp, only coming back at night to take over watch for the ninja and sending them to bed. This was the first time Naruto would actually have the opportunity to speak to the man, and for some reason, he really wanted to. Screw sleep, I'm probably not going to get this opportunity again. Naruto concluded as he turned to face Han and spark up some conversation. So how's the watch going? Any enemies found? I have a clone patrolling the area and set up multiple traps in addition to the ones your sensei set up. Needless to say, no, I have not found any. Han answered as he took a sip of tea. Oh. That makes sense. Naruto responded dumbly. Then can't you go to sleep too with all the stuff set up? I'm still keeping watch in case someone got past my clone and threw the traps. Besides, I prefer to stay up. I like to watch the stars. The Jonin replied. The armor-wearing shinobi turned his head upward to the skies and let out a sigh. Look at them. Not a care in the world. Away from the entire world and everything on it. I can't help but be jealous. That's like a depressing version of Shikamaru's thoughts. Naruto noted in shock. So, out of curiosity, how does Konoha treat you? How are they with the fox? Han asked nonchalantly. Naruto immediately stiffened. How the hell does he know about that? The older ninja noticed his surprise and fright, so he decided to explain. Relax, I merely sense his chakra from you. I'm a Jinchuriki as well, so I mean you no harm. Naruto's surprise turned to confusion. Jinchuriki? He repeated the word. A demon container. Han replied. Naruto's eyes widened exponentially, realizing what he meant. Just as you are the container of the Kyuubi, I am the container of the Gobi, or the five-tailed dolphin horse. We are both Jinchuriki. Everything started to click in Naruto's head. The loneliness in his eyes that matched his own. The strong desire Naruto had to speak to him. It all made sense now. You are just like me. Naruto mumbled in realization. There are people in the world just like me. Correct. There are 9 of us somewhere in the shinobi world, 1 for each of the tailed beasts. We are what both humans and demons refer to as Jinchuriki. So. Then you too, you also had the same kind of life too? Alone, hated, judged? Naruto asked quietly, repeating some of the feelings he felt growing up in Konoha. Yes. Yes. An orphan whose parents died long ago, chosen to become the container of the Gobi. I grew up surrounded by the same prejudice and scorn that you were. All Jinchuriki, as long as their secret is known, have. Han mentioned. His normal tone of voice switched to a softer, more saddened tone. Naruto actually gave a smile as he faced Han. Well, the feelings got better over time. That's one good thing at least. Still, it feels weird to finally meet someone who understands, someone who actually is just like me. Yes, you are correct. It is nice to be around others like us. Humans can't understand us. They never try to after all. The Jonin stated bitterly. Naruto noticed venom in Han's words. The way he said human was equivalent to how Risho and Roto would say Konoha, or how Naruto himself would say Iwa. There was deep venom in his words, which took the boy by surprise. Is being a Jinchuriki why your students say you aren't a people person? Naruto questioned, wanting to know why there was such venom in that one word. Han scoffed at his words. Yes, that is correct. What's the point of being around humans? They are hateful, disgusting creatures who look down upon anything that's not like them. They are even against their own kind, such as how our villages hate each other. I don't like associating myself with their kind. A cold spell shivered down Naruto's spine. Han's words were getting increasingly sharper and more poisonous. The scary part was, though, that Naruto partly agreed with them. He knew many people in Konoha who fit the description Han was giving. They hated him and treated him as if he was below them for being the Kyuubi. They didn't give him a chance, they just hated him. Naruto also realized that Han had a point about hating other enemy shinobi. The blonde himself possessed such thoughts, and he felt increasingly guilty for thinking badly of Iwa shinobi such as Roto. Still, not every human is like that though. I know quite a few who are different. They are my friends. The boy informed him. As much as he agreed with the points Han was making, he knew many exceptions. His teammates, Anko-sensei, Iruka-sensei, the Hokage, Shikamaru's parents, multiple people came to mind when he thought about exceptions. I also think that with hard work, we can change their minds. We can make them understand us. Humans? Understand? Please. And as for your friends, they are only human. They will turn on you one day. The Iwa Jonin replied matter-of-factually. You don't know that. Naruto shouted back, defending the people who accepted him. Come on, you know not everyone is like that. Don't you have some friends? Han turned away from the boy and stared back up to the stars. He took a deep breath before he speaking again. I am friends with a couple of horses and another Jinchuriki, a fellow shinobi of Iwa. However, I know that's not what you meant, you mean human friends. Well, when I was your age, yes. 2 of them. They were my genin teammates. They were originally afraid of me due to the Gobi, but after a few weeks of training and getting to know each other, they saw me differently than before. They saw me as Han. He reminisced. What happened? Naruto asked quietly. Han took a sip of tea before speaking again. You are familiar with the Third Shinobi World War, aren't you? The one that made your Yondaime the most hated man in IWA. Not that I actually hate the man, not any more than I hate other humans. Naruto merely nodded in response. Good. So, you know IWA and Konoha were enemies in the war. Do you know about the Tsuchi no Yama incident? The older shinobi questioned. Naruto shook his head in response, which caused Han to sigh. Then prepare for a long explanation. Tsuchi no Yama was the name for an IWA base near the Tsuchi no Kuni Kusa no Kuni border near a mountain. The majority of IWA shinobi were placed there in order to defend the border and prevent any enemy shinobi from getting into our country's border, and by proxy, from getting into IWA. Many were also stationed there before getting sent to different battleground sites. The base was where I was stationed permanently during the war. I was Iwa's defensive tool during the war. Han explained. Naruto flinched at the way the man said the word tool. Our enemies knew how important the base was to Iwa's plans, so they constantly attacked in order to claim it. All attempts failed. I personally saw to that. But that didn't stop them from trying. Eventually, they stopped their direct attacks and switched to using spies. These spies would sneak in and either steal valuable information or find ways in order to sneak enemy shinobi into the base for a surprise attack. Konoha sent one infamous spy from the Sarutobi clan. This one, well, we had trouble with him for some reason. We finally found about him and his presence in the camp when it was too late. He had gotten his allies into the base, and they launched their surprise attack. I engaged the spy to the best of my abilities. He, however, had apparently been in the base for a while, and had done his research on me and my fighting style. In the battle, he had me on my last rope, near death. I was worried of failing to protect IWA and losing the base. I was worried that my mistake would give Konoha the opportunity to invade IWA. I was worried for my friends. My fear made me angry, and it made me vulnerable. Han took a second to stop his speech. His words started to get slower. So, the Gobi took advantage of my weakened state and took control. Naruto's eyes nearly shot out of his head. The beast, the Gobi, it took control. It took a few minutes before Han continued his speech. His voice was notably more bitter and disappointed. With the Gobi's power, I defeated and killed that damn spy. However, Gobi just had a taste of blood, and he wanted more. I was in such a weak state of mind that I couldn't fight him and take back control. So, the Gobi wreaked havoc in the real world. By the time I was back in control, the Gobi had massacred all of the IWA shinobi in the base. Everyone was dead. Everyone died? The Gobi killed. Naruto repeated the information in head, scared. His thoughts were interrupted by Han continuing again. Needless to say, the loss of the base was devastating. It's considered one of the main reasons IWA lost the war, in addition to your Yondaime. So, a good part of the blame for the loss goes directly to me. IWA didn't particularly like me before the war. Naruto-san, how do you think IWA treated me after that? The Jonin asked bitterly. Naruto didn't have to give an answer, they both knew. They must have seen him as more than a demon. And your friends? The blonde asked nervously, remembering how this topic even started. Same as everyone else. They turned on me like all of IWA. I was no longer Han to them. I was that damn demon horse. Han shouted out. His eyes lit up red with anger and steam poured out of the furnace on his armor. Killing intent leaked off Han that made Naruto nearly passed out. He had never experienced anything like this before in his entire life. The boy stared in awe at the man in front of him. He's so angry, so alone. Is this what I could become? Naruto wondered sadly. After a moment, Han calmed down. He turned to face the frightened genin with softer eyes. Forgive me, Naruto-san. I usually have better control over my emotions. Sometimes they can burst out though. The man informed him as he bowed his head in apology. I also didn't intend for my words to frighten or upset you. I was just trying to warn you. It's very possible that in a moment of weakness, the Kyuubi could take over your body, and the people around you, even your friends, will judge and hate you. I'm just warning you to be careful of the fox and take care of yourself. I trust my friends. Naruto said quietly, as if trying to convince himself. For your sake, I hope they can be trusted. Han replied sadly. Anyway, I recommend you go back to bed. You have a busy day tomorrow, I bet. Naruto nodded and got up quietly. Han bowed and bid him good night. Naruto did the same and went back to his sleeping bag. The boy could no longer sleep. His mind was running rampant with thoughts about Han's words and life. Is that what could happen to me? Will the fox take over? Could that get my friends to turn on me like his did? Naruto questioned. Wait, what if I kill them? The Gobi killed many shinobi from IWA. What if the Kyuubi makes me do the same thing? Naruto remained awake for at least an hour, dealing with his internal thoughts. By the time he was able to fall asleep, he was plagued by nightmares of the future. Away from the camp, on the other side of Tenchi Bridge, two men dressed in black cloaks with red clouds on them had set up a camp of their own. Despite how late at night it was, the two men were wide awake. The first man was a tall, muscular man with tan skin. He had on a white hood and a black mask that covered his face. The mask had the headband for Takigakure on it, with the symbol for the village having a cut through it. The man was staring into the night sky and the moon intently. The second man was a little shorter than the first man, but was equally muscular and had a more youthful air around him. He had dark skin, spiky white hair, and brown eyes. He wore a headband for Kumogakure around his neck with the same cut through the symbol as his partner's headband. He was currently fidgeting with a long, silver rod that he had in his hands. The rod had a sharp point at the end and the kanji for thunder was engraved on it. Kakuzu, are you sure we have to wait for the morning? I'd want to get this over with already. The man with the rod mumbled in complaint. You are going to have to wait, Naruto. The leader mentioned framing the Konoha shinobi with the disappearance of the Gobi Jinchuriki, so it would be unwise to attack while they are present. We'd end up killing them as well, which would just make this disappearance suspicious to the world. The taller man, Kakuzu, replied. He seemed to be thoroughly annoyed with his partner. I get that, but still. I just wish we could get this over with already. I'm not interested in interfering with the lives of IWA shinobi. I'd much rather be going after the Kumo Jinchuriki. The second man, Naruto, whined. Your hatred for your home village is ridiculous and is starting to get annoying. Kakuzu mentioned, giving his partner a glare. Oh, come on, don't deny you wouldn't want to do that to the Jinchuriki Taki has. The white-haired man pointed out. Maybe, but I will take advantage of that when the time comes on. Now, shut up before I kill you. Kakuzu informed him. Like you could. Naruto scoffed as he pointed his rod at his partner. Yup, I am definitely killing him. After we capture the Gobi and extract it, I am killing this brat and collecting the high bounty Kumo has on his head. The man from Taki noted darkly. Silence filled the air between the two men for an hour or two. Both men remained awake, however, waiting for the first opportunity to strike once Konoha and IWA separated. So, the plan the same one we discussed earlier, right? Naruto asked his partner. The younger man had a more serious and darker tone to his voice. Correct. I gathered detailed information from my confidants in IWA, and I've learned some things about Han. Our strategy should be able to dispose of him. We just have to be careful, because he is a careful and dangerous opponent. Kakuzu informed his partner. The older man actually seemed like he was looking forward to this fight. I know. No way in hell I'm understanding this guy. The former Kumo ninja agreed. And his genin and the merchant? They won't garner much price on the black market, but we can always see when we get there. They should be killed as well. His partner replied. Understood. Naruto, after speaking, raised his rod up into the sky and pointed it directly at the moon. The man's face picked up a sadistic grin as he stared intently at the moon. You know, I take it back what I said earlier about not caring about this. I'm excited. After tomorrow, we're one step closer to peace. We're closer to our control. He said excitedly. We are one step closer to achieving Akatsuki's goal. He exclaimed, emphasizing each word and getting louder. Soon, the younger man burst into laughter at whatever mental image was going on his head. Bipolar idiot. First, he was whining, then rational, and now he's raving about peace. Kakuzu sighed in annoyance. He was having no second thoughts about his plan to murder his partner. Still, he couldn't deny his partner's words. Tomorrow was going to be the day where everything changed. Tomorrow was the dawn of Akatsuki. Chapter 9, The Dawn of Akatsuki. When morning came, all shinobi went to work gathering their belongings and preparing for their journey back. Both teams from Konoha and IWA were about to make a long journey, and they wanted to hurry on their way to make sure they got back home quickly. About an hour had passed before both groups were ready to leave. Both sets of shinobi and yen were standing right in front of the Tenchi Bridge, ready to part ways. Han and Anko took out the scrolls with the mission details and traded them, giving each other proof that they had met up. It would also function as proof that Konoha completed their part of the mission. I thank you all for your assistance in helping watch over Yen for the night. Han told the Konoha shinobi as he gave them a slight bow. It was no problem. Glad we could help out. Anko replied with a bow of her own. Her students did the same. Help? How? Not like we actually had a battle that required help. Risho scoffed. The boy received an elbow and a glare from Kuratsuchi, which kept him quiet for the rest of the time. Anko-sama, Naruto-sama, Hinata-sama, Shikamaru-sama, Yen started to speak out, directing his speech to all the Konoha shinobi. I would like to thank you all so very much for your protection. I would have most likely died by myself on the way here, and you all were such a joy to talk to. Thank you all so much for taking your time to guard me, and I hope to see you all at some point in the future. The merchant then gave a polite bow to them. Don't sweat it, Yen. We'll meet up again one day. Naruto said with a laugh. For now though, just get home safely. We'll make sure that happens. Roto replied with a smirk. Ahem. Han cleared his throat. He seemed both bored and annoyed. It is probably time we head back. It's a long way for both of us, so we should all start back. Right. Anko agreed. Best of luck then on the road. Later. Same to you. Kuratsuchi replied for her team. The groups proceeded to head their opposite ways. The IWA team headed across the bridge on their way to Yen's home in Tsuchi no Kuni. Team 3 of Konoha headed back the way they came back to their village. Neither team were aware of the events that were about to happen. The IWA shinobi and Yen crossed the Tenchi Bridge and continued walking down the path back to Tsuchi no Kuni. Not much conversation occurred between the group until a few minutes into the walk. So, I think I might actually miss those Konoha guys. Roto admitted to the group. Kuratsuchi looked at the boy in surprise. Han, himself, rose an eyebrow in shock at the boy's words. Risho, in contrast, merely scoffed. I have no clue what the hell that has to do with anything, but really? I thought you'd be stoked like I am to get away from those wimps. The sword-wielding boy mentioned. Well, I mean I still don't like Konoha at all, but they weren't that bad. The Hyuga girl was quiet, but she was nice. And Naruto actually is someone that was kind of fun to talk to. Roto stated, defending himself. Kuratsuchi nodded, a smile on her face. Agreed. They were all pretty nice. And I enjoyed talking to Shikamaru. It was nice to know that there is another shinobi my age that isn't a complete idiot. Hey! Roto glared in response. Yen chuckled in amusement as he listened in. One of the major issues he had with yesterday was all the tension and ill feelings between the Konoha and IWA shinobi. The merchant was happy to see that the harsh feelings seemed to have lessened, at least a little. PSH. You all have no pride in your village. Risho hissed. An argument broke out between the IWA genin, as Kuratsuchi and Roto argued with their angry teammate about pride and IWA. Han listened with mild amusement. While the man may despite humanity, he did find other people interesting on occasions. He couldn't help but be interested in the change of opinion in Roto, who was firmly against anything and everything Konoha prior to the mission. The Jonin didn't get too much time to listen and enjoy the conversation, however. A minute later, he sensed something, a rather large source of chakra approaching them at a rapid speed. We're under attack. Everyone, get close to me. Now. Han ordered everyone. The IWA genin and Yen stopped the conversation immediately and followed the Jonin's command without a second thought. As they got next to him, Han started to form hand signs rapidly. Ninja art, steam barrier jutsu. He shouted. Steam shot out the furnace on Han's armor and surrounded the group. As more steam formed, it started to harden into a dome-like structure. What's going on, Han-sama? Yen asked nervously, starting to sweat. Before Han could even give an answer, a massive blast of lightning struck the dome of steam. It generated a shrieking, explosive noise that caused the genin and Yen to clutch their ears in pain, but the steam prevented any other real damage. After a few seconds, Han released his jutsu and started to make more hand signs. Risho, Roto, Kuratsuchi, protect Yen. We have company. He stated as he scanned the area for the source of the lightning. When the steam disappeared, two figures could be seen approaching the group. Both were men wearing black cloaks with red clouds on them. Nasamurita, be more careful. You could have killed the Jinchuriki with that blast. Kakuzu informed his partner irritably. As if. If he really died from that simple blast, then he probably wouldn't be that much help to Akatsuki even with the Gobi. Nasamurita scoffed. But as you can see, he didn't die, so it's all moot anyway. Yen felt himself become extremely nervous. Although he had been attacked before outside of villages, his attackers had only been common bandits. Never before had he had ninja come after him. Stay calm, Yen-san. We'll protect you. Kuratsuchi comforted the merchant while also preparing herself for battle. Roto nodded in agreement with his teammate as he pulled out a kunai with a purple-colored tip. Risho didn't even bother looking to the merchant, he merely pulled out his sword and prepared for battle. Who are you two? Han demanded from the two enemy shinobi as he activated another jutsu. Steam poured out his furnace and covered his arms and legs. Nasamurita only smirked in response. We're here for the Gobi. What the hell was that? Anko shouted to her students. Not long after the Konoha shinobi separated from the IWA shinobi and Yen, an explosion was heard coming from the opposite direction. The blast shocked the group and caused them to look back, wondering what caused it. Hinata didn't waste any time activating her Byakugan and trying to find out the source of the explosion on her own. With her Dojutsu activated, it didn't take long for her to see what was going on about 2 kilometers from where they were. I can see 2 other people walking towards the IWA shinobi. I think they caused that explosion. Hinata replied as she further concentrated her vision. After another second of concentration, the Hyuga heir gasped at what she was seeing. I see lots of chakra being released from Han-san. The other men also have large chakra supplies around them as well. I think they're going to fight now. What? Anko's eyes widened at her student's report. The IWA shinobi were ambushed? Naruto and Shikamaru, too, were stunned by Hinata's words. They had just bid farewell to the IWA shinobi no more than 30 minutes ago. Now, they were being attacked by foreign shinobi? So, they're being attacked. What do we do then, sensei? Do we go back and help or do we just keep going? Shikamaru asked his sensei as he stared in the direction where the explosion came from. At the mention of help, Naruto's face grew more determined and focused as if he was mentally preparing himself for battle. Well, our mission is done and we aren't necessarily required to help the IWA shinobi. Anko informed them. That, and they probably don't need our help. If any of the rumors about Han are true, he should destroy those attackers in a few seconds tops. She mentally added before speaking again. Still, I'm kind of curious why shinobi would be going after them. Are they after Yen or just attacking for the hell of it? I wouldn't mind staying in the area for a little bit and seeing how the battle goes. Maybe make a decision later based on that. Her three students nodded as they headed back towards the bridge and to where the battle was going to be. They made sure to stay far enough that they wouldn't get involved right away. Hinata still had her Byakugan activated and was watching the area intently, ready to relay any information she saw. Han, be careful. Naruto inwardly thought as he waited for more information on the situation. The Gobi? Yen asked nervously, confused at the words of the two strangers. The IWA genin stiffened when they heard what the men were after. Han, however, only rose his eyebrows in response. You are after me then? He asked. His voice sounded almost amused. And if I were to refuse to go with you too? Refusing isn't an option. Kakuzu spoke up, cracking his knuckles. Very well then. Han noted as he got into a position to sprint towards them. It's been a long time since I've sensed such large amounts of chakra. Perhaps you two could amuse me? More than amuse. Naruto smirked as he reached into his cloak and pulled out his lightning rod. Yen babbled to himself in fear. He could see what was going to happen. Kuratsuchi, Risho, Roto, protect Yen. I will deal with these two. Han informed his students. The trio nodded in understanding as they surrounded Yen and readied themselves to fight if needed. Naruto pointed the sharp end of his lightning rod at Han. The IWA Jonin didn't waste another second, he charged directly at the two attackers with great speed. In mere milliseconds, Han was right in front of them with steam surrounding his arms and legs. The armor-clad shinobi delivered a roundhouse kick that struck Naruto right in the side. The former Kumo ninja was sent flying in Kakuzu's direction, but the older man was able to get out of the way just in time. Naruto, instead of hitting him, just landed face first into the ground. What speed! Yen gasped in awe as he stared in amazement at Han. Heh, that's our sensei. Kuratsuchi noted, a proud smile on her face. That's his signature fighting style. He uses the steam that he generates from the furnace on his armor to increase the force in his attacks. The steam that surrounds him helps him move at faster speeds and hit harder than pretty much any shinobi. Naruto pulled himself off the ground quickly and turned to the IWA Jonin with narrowed eyes. Damn, you are fast. He noted, pleased. This'll be fun. Take this seriously, brat. Kakuzu ordered as he pointed his right hand towards the Jinchuriki. We are going against not only a Jinchuriki but a shinobi with a great deal of experience. Fight with appropriate focus. Black threads on Kakuzu's hand started to untangle. The hand charged forward towards the Jinchuriki. Han moved out of the way in time and charged forward at the former Taki ninja. Kakuzu raised his left hand and released the same threads within it. When Han appeared in front of the older shinobi, he launched his fist. It made direct contact with his face, knocking him back a little. He actually made a hit on Sensei? Kuratsuchi gasped in response. Han-sensei. Nasamurita, get rid of those brats. Make sure they don't interfere with our capture of the Gobi. Kakuzu ordered as he moved his hands to surround the IWA Jonin. That'll be easy. They probably won't stand a chance against one of my clones. The former Kumo ninja replied as he put a hand into his robe. He pulled out a smaller lightning rod. He then tossed the second rod into the air and made a hand sign. Lightning style, lightning clone jutsu. Lightning elemental chakra surrounded the rod. In a few moments, the lightning spread out around the rod and formed the shape of a human. The lightning then disappeared after creating an identical clone of Nasamurita. A lighting style-based clone? Roto mumbled in surprise. I didn't even know such a jutsu was possible. How can lightning take a physical form like that? Very simple actually. All it really needed was a medium to base its shape around. The former Kumo ninja replied nonchalantly before he turned his head back on the genin and faced the jonin that Kakuzu was dealing with. The lightning clone landed on its feet on the ground, a large grin on its face. It turned to face the genin and Yen and charged at them. Ah! Yen screamed in fear. The merchant's body started to shake. Calm down, Yen-san. We will protect you. Roto informed him as he raised his kunai. So, what's the report, Hinata? Anko asked her student. Hinata had not said a word the entire word that she was studying the battle. At her sensei's request, she finally turned off her Byakugan and faced her team to tell them what she saw. They re-fighting ya. Han-san is currently taking on the two men while a C-clone of one of the two men is attacking the genin. It's pretty intense right now. Hinata said with a stutter. She was currently surprised by all that she was seeing. Anko noticed her surprise and decided to question further. How so? Did you get to see any jutsu? Or just a lot of chakra? Be both. She replied. The two men and Han-san are releasing tons of chakra. Han-san has used some jutsu from Steam. One of the two men was able to use a J-jutsu to separate his body P parts and use them as an A attack. He used it to hit Han-san. Anko's eyes widened once again in response. From all the reports I've heard, very few people could put a scratch on Han's armor, let alone actually get a good hit on. And from what Hinata is describing about their chakra, these attackers are more than what I thought they'd be. Anko-sensei? What should we do? Shikamaru asked again, still staring in the direction. Naruto had been quiet nearly the entire time. He had been in deep thought about his fellow Jinchuriki. He remembered in detail the conversation they had the previous night, and was thinking about some of the things Han mentioned about his life. Han's always been alone. He hasn't had any real friends since his only ones left him. No one's probably ever done anything for him. Naruto thought to himself. I bet no one's ever defended him. Well, that's going to change starting now. The boy decided. We're going back. We're going to help them. Naruto declared seriously. Naruto, who is the sensei here? I don't believe you have the authority to make such a command. Anko replied in an irritated tone. Sure, she was strongly considering going back to help, but she didn't like it that Naruto was starting to try and take authority. Anko-sensei, they may need our help. Sure, they're strong, but you never know what can happen. I want to help them. Naruto spoke. Anko, Hinata, and Shikamaru were shocked by the seriousness and determination in the boy's voice. His words actually inspired for his teammates to speak up after a second. Naruto's right. I've had a bad feeling ever since I saw the explosion. They may not need it, but I'd rather go back in case if someone went wrong. Shikamaru agreed. I agree. Hinata nodded. The stuttering was gone once again as she looked more determined than ever before. Anko looked at her students in shock and awe. Never before had she seen such focus in Genin-level shinobi. She doubted she even had that much determination when she was that young. The Tokubetsu Jonin, after a few seconds, had a smirk develop on her face. Well, brats, if you all want to help them that bad, then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry up, she declared as she sprinted forward. The Konoha Genin followed her lead. In moments, the four shinobi were now on their way, heading towards the battleground. Risho, Roto, Karatsuchi, Han, be careful. Naruto inwardly thought. Kakuzu and Natsumorita surrounded the IWA Jonin, ready to go for another attack. The Jinchuriki was currently trapped, tied up in the weird thread that Kakuzu's hands released. Han appeared to be struggling to get free from the grasp, causing his two opponents to approach with their guards slightly lowered. As they got closer, Han smirked underneath the cloth over his face. Ninja art, steam cannon jutsu. He shouted inwardly. Steam rapidly sprayed out of the furnace on his armor once again. Instead of forming a barrier, however, it shot forward in a straight, single blast at the two Akatsuki members. The two shinobi barely had enough time to dodge. Han then took the time to move his steam-covered arms and break free from the thread trapping. The Jonin then charged forward towards Kakuzu, preparing his fist to strike the man. Lightning style, lightning ball jutsu. Natsumorita shouted as he pointed his lightning rod at the IWA Jonin. Lightning chakra surrounded the point of the rod and formed into a large ball of pure lightning. The ball of lightning was sent flying towards the two shinobi and managed to hit Han's fist, causing a mini explosion. Han and Kakuzu backed up immediately, away from each other. Han then turned his attention to the former Kumo shinobi. Out of curiosity, is there any particular reason you are using a lightning rod for your jutsu? Can you not produce lightning without it? Natsumorita shook his head. It's just a good way to have better control over lightning-style ninjutsu. It also attracts lightning chakra in the air, and obviously real lightning. The man then started to smirk as he raised it in the air. I've also developed jutsu that I can use it for, like this, lightning-style, charged shot jutsu. Lightning chakra covered the entirety of the lightning rod in seconds, particularly around its point. Natsumorita lowered his rod and pointed it at Han. Rapid bolts of lightning were shot out, each one moving quickly. Han proceeded to dodge the bolts. Natsumorita started to laugh as he continued to fire the bolts of lightning with no stop. The IWA Jonin continued to dodge to the best of his abilities while trying to get in closer to his attacker. Eventually, Han surrounded himself with more steam and charged forward. He was able to get in before Natsumorita could release another bolt of lightning. Lightning style, John! Kakuzu shouted as he approached the group. Han was once again interrupted from landing a hit on his opponent. Kakuzu launched a straight beam of lightning from his hands that moved forward towards the Jinchuriki. Han was forced to end his attack early and get out of the way, which gave Natsumorita enough time to fire enough charged bolt of lightning at him. This time, Han activated his steam barrier jutsu again. The steam surrounded him and prevented him from taking any damage from the bolt of lightning. Yes. Oh yeah, I haven't had this much fun in a battle in forever. Natsumorita declared excitedly as he raised his rod again to absorb more lightning chakra. Glad you're having fun. Good for you that you will die on a happy note. Han replied as he made another hand sign. The lightning clone of Natsumorita continued its charge at the IWA Genin and Yen. It took shuriken out of its cloak and tosses them towards them. Risho smirked in response as he got in front of his team. As the shuriken got closer to the group, the boy raised his left hand. The shuriken stopped moving and remained motionless in air. Using weapons like shuriken against me, a member of the Kurogane clan? Big mistake. Feel the power of the iron release. Risho shouted as he moved his hand forward. The shuriken turned direction and flew towards the clone at a faster speed. It dodged the shuriken barely before it started to charge again. Risho charged forward as well, gripping his sword tightly in his right hand. The IWA Genin slashed at the clone. Once again, the clone was able to dodge barely. The edge of the sword's blade rested near the clone's side. Risho smirked in response as he made a hand sign with his left hand. Iron style, length increase, he stated. The sword's blade extended forward at a fast pace, increasing its length. The blade pierced the clone straight through its chest. It gasped in pain before disappearing in a poof of smoke. A log was in its place. Substitution? Risho mumbled as he started to look around. The clone jumped out of a nearby tree and held out a lightning rod of its own. Lightning chakra collected on its edge and formed into a ball. The clone launched its own lightning ball jutsu towards the boy. Before he could react, Kuratsuchi jumped in front of him. Lave style, quicklime jutsu, she shouted as she took in a deep breath. After her breath, Kuratsuchi breathed out quicklime from her mouth. The corrosive gas flew in front of the lightning ball and caused an explosion in the air, canceling out both techniques. The kunoichi proceeded to run towards the clone after making the hand signs and breathing in. She released the same jutsu again, this time aiming for the clone. The Naruto clone attempted to dodge, but was burned slightly near its leg. The clone fell to the ground and started to move slower. It was in this state that Roto decided to attack. The boy immediately chucked multiple kunai with purple tips at the lightning clone. The clone used its lightning rod to block the kunai as it charged at the boy. Ninja art, poison darts jutsu, he shouted as he took a deep breath in. Roto started to spit out poison shaped like sharp darts at the clone. The clone proceeded to dodge them, only barely dodging at certain points. Ugh, if we can get a good hit on it, then we get it dispelled. That way we can go help Han-sensei, Roto noted as he prepared to launch more darts. Risho and Kuratsuchi agreed with his sentiments. The three genin were working hard to land one truly good hit on the clone in order to get away and help their sensei. Lightning style, lightning ball jutsu. Ninja art, steam cannon jutsu. Naruto and Han released their jutsu at the same time. The Akatsuki members' lightning ball charged straight forward at the Jinchuriki steam blast. The two attacks collided and cancelled each other out. Kakuzu took this time to get in close to the Jinchuriki. He attempted to land a solid punch on the man, but his fist was by the IWA Jonin. Han made sure to have a tight grip as he readied his other hand for a punch of his own. Before he could land the hit, however, Kakuzu undid the thread in his other hand and hit the man straight in the face. Han backed up in pain for a second. This gave Kakuzu an opening as he made the tiger hand sign. Lightning style, John, he shouted. Naruto saw his partner make the sign and proceeded to point his lightning rod at the Jonin as well. Lightning style, charged shot jutsu, the former Kumo ninja shouted as well. Two incoming blasts of lightning were released simultaneously from different directions. Both jutsu managed to collide on the stunned Han, causing him to get electrocuted. The Jonin screamed in pain. Heh, got him, Naruto smirked. The two Akatsuki members watched the Jonin suffer in pain until he started to fade away. Han started to evaporate until there was no sign of him anywhere. What the hell was that? A steam clone or something? The former Kumo ninja groaned as he started to scan the area for Han. This Jinchuriki is even more skilled than I thought. To make a clone and replace himself without either Naruto and I noticing, he's definitely an experienced and seasoned fighter like the reports claimed. Kakuzu noted as he started scanning for Han as well. Still, I've had experience myself. And I think it's time I finally took advantage of that weakness he ha dash. Kakuzu never got to continue his train of thought. Han jumped from the trees and attacked the man with a single steam punch. The punch went straight through the former Taki ninja's chest and directly into his heart. Han's bloodied fist was now sticking out from the older man's back. Kakuzu's eyes stopped moving and his mouth coughed up blood. The steam-covered fist had completely crushed his heart. The man was dead now. One down. Han noted as he removed his fist from the Akatsuki member. Kakuzu's body fell to the ground immediately after. The Jinchuriki then turned his attention to the other ninja. One more to go. Naruto blinked in surprise. His eyes moved to his partner for a second before he started to laugh. Who said to be careful, Kakuzu? Looks like I ended up being more careful than you. Pathetic human. Disregarding your comrade's death and treating it as if nothing happened. Han shook his head, both in disgust and anger. I think I am actually going to enjoy killing you. Han charged forward toward the former Kumo ninja. Naruto dodged just in time before suffering the same attack that Kakuzu suffered. The Jinchuriki continued to try and land a single hit on the Akatsuki member. Naruto continued to dodge to the best of his abilities, knowing that one hit to the heart would be all it would take to kill him. Han was so focused on striking at the man in front of him that he failed to notice Kakuzu's body moving. Lava-style, quicklime jutsu. Kuratsuchi released another blast of quicklime straight at the Naruto clone. The clone proceeded to dodge the attack, this time not even taking a small hit. Damn it, this thing is taunting us. Kuratsuchi hissed as she made hand signs for her jutsu again. Her hand signs were interrupted when the clone jumped in front of her and gave the kunoichi a kick to the stomach, sending her flying to a nearby tree. She was caught by Roto before she was made contact with it. The boy's face was staring straight at the clone. He proceeded to spit out his poison darts. Once again, the lightning clone was able to dodge each individual dart as it made its way closer to the two IWA genin, gripping its lightning rod tightly. As the lightning clone was about to strike at the two with a close-range lightning jutsu, Kuratsuchi made one final hand sign and got out of Roto's grip. She released another blast of quicklime at the approaching clone. The clone cancelled its own jutsu and jumped out of the way. The quicklime, however, managed to slightly burn his leg once again. Okay, where did it go now? Kuratsuchi questioned angrily. She was getting really fed up with chasing this clone over and over. She and Roto scanned the nearby area, looking for any sight of the clone. Eventually, though, they found their sign in the form of a seam. Ah! Yen screamed in panic. The lightning clone jumped in front of the merchant, a lightning ball blowing from the top of its lightning rod. It released the ball at the terrified merchant, who was now having visions of his death. Iron style, armor of iron. Risho jumped in front of Risho and the incoming lightning ball and grabbed the merchant. As his hand touched the merchant, the two were encased in a silver-grayish-colored iron. The lightning ball managed to hit them both, but did no damage. Risho released his jutsu and the armor faded away, leaving him and Yen completely unharmed without even a single scratch. I recall this match was between just you and us, the IWA shinobi. Don't get our client involved. Risho snapped at him as he pointed his sword at the clone. The young man charged directly at the clone, ready to cut it in half. Just one hit. That's all it will take. Han informed himself as he tried to land a hit on Naruto. The IWA Jonin had been chasing the former Kumo shinobi around the battlefield, trying to land one fatal hit on him. Han was motivated to kill this man, and he was going to make sure he accomplished just that. Naruto continued to barely dodge all the hits. Each time he dodged, it was getting harder to avoid the next hit. The Akatsuki member was starting to get really tired. I need to stop running already, but it's getting harder to do anything else. I'm not good with all this close hand-to-hand fighting. I need some range, damn it. He inwardly complained. Come on, Kakuzu. Hurry up already. After a few moments, Han was able to get a non-fatal punch to Naruto's shoulder. The man fell to the ground in pain as Han picked him up with his right hand. Well, that makes two. You both were stronger than most humans I've fought, but you are still only human. Challenging me was your mistake. Han informed him as steam covered his left hand. Fire style, Zukaku. A small fireball was launched and headed rapidly towards Han. The Jinchuriki had no time to react. The fireball hit the back of his armor and erupted into a firestorm that covered every inch of his armor's backside. The fire was able to scorch the furnace on his back. Han immediately dropped Naruto and fell to the ground, his furnace leaking a combination of smoke and steam. Han struggled to get up as the fire started to fade away. As he looked in the direction where the fireball came, he saw Kakuzu still standing. This time, however, the man looked different. He was no longer wearing his Akatsuki cloak. He had on a black shirt and pants with a white belt near his waist. Every inch of his body that wasn't clothed was covered in the same black thread that his hands were covered in. In addition, 3 floating masks were floating right by his side. What the, you should be dead. I felt myself crush your heart. Han questioned in shock. You did. Lucky for me I've got multiple hearts. Kakuzu replied nonchalantly as he pointed to the masks floating by his side. Also helps me control various different elemental nature, including fire. You're usually more careful around fire, aren't you? Kakuzu then pointed at Han's furnace, which was still leaking steam and smoke. That steam armor and the furnace are connected to you, and are the source of your fighting style. And if that furnace were to overheat, that would complicate things, wouldn't it? Han gave no response as he finally pulled himself off the ground. The hissing sound coming from the furnace and the mix of smoke and steam were the only answers the former Taki shinobi needed. Just as I thought. The older man smirked. Han charged towards the main, steam still covering his body. Although he was still quick, he was moving significantly slower than earlier. He struck at Kakuzu's face, but the older man was able to block the attack with his arm. The two proceeded to fight hand-to-hand, blocking the other's fists while trying to land a hit. As I thought. Looks like we are more even now. Earlier, this would be impossible with the steam magnifying the strength of your attacks. But you're overheating and therefore, your attacks are weaker. Kakuzu noted again as he continued to try and hit Han. You talk too much. Han replied as he finally found an opening. The IWA Jonin managed to land a solid hit on the former Taki shinobi. This time, however, Kakuzu was not sent flying backwards. He only inched backwards a little in pain, a strong contrast in comparison to Han's earlier attacks. Naruto took this time to finally attack again. The Akatsuki member released his charge shot Justu at Han, releasing multiple bolts of electricity. Han was able to dodge the first few bolts, but was unable to avoid them all. The Jinchuriki received damage, causing him to kneel down in pain. Fire style, Zukaku. Kakuzu shouted once again. One of Kakuzu's masks launched the same fireball from earlier. The fireball hit Han's furnace, releasing the excess fire once again on his armor. Han fell over once again, his furnace hissing even louder and releasing even more smoke. The man was starting to sweat greatly underneath his armor, in addition to all the pain he was feeling. Damn it. The furnace is overheating way too much. My steam is getting weaker, and therefore, I'm getting weaker. Han cursed. Guess I have to switch tactics. Damn, can't believe they are pushing me to this level. Then again, they wanted the Gobi. Oh, I'll give them the Gobi. Naruto's lightning clone continued to dodge each and every attempt of Risho's to destroy it. The Kurigane clan genin attempted to cut it down with his sword but missed every strike. Damn it, stand still for a second. he hissed as he attempted to cut it down one more time. The clone seemed to comply the boy's request. It raised the lightning rod in its hand, and it used it to block the sword strike. It was then that Risho started to really study the lightning rod the clone was using. That thing, I think it's made of iron. Risho grinned as he made a singular hand sign. The lightning rod the clone was using started to get weaker and rust. Risho's sword was able to easily cut through it. The boy proceeded to try and get another strike at the clone. The lightning clone proceeded to dodge the attack by jumping over the boy. Kurotsuchi and Roto then jumped over to the area. Lave style, quicklime jutsu. Kurotsuchi declared. The girl breathed out her traditional quicklime attack on the clone. This time, being in the air, the clone wasn't able to dodge it. It took the hit and felt its body burn. Roto took this time to toss a kunai at the clone. It went straight through it this time, causing the clone to disappear, leaving the lightning rod used as the medium for the lightning behind. Finally! Risho exclaimed. It was at that point that the lightning rod started to light up once again. The lightning that was used to form the clone was still present and surrounding the lightning rod. The stray lightning was sent flying towards the IWA genin. The three shinobi were shocked by the blast and were momentarily stunned. Ugh! They all groaned simultaneously, falling to the ground. That was just stray lightning left over from getting rid of the clone. And it came out, attacked us, and did that much damage, damn. That guy from Kumo put a lot of chakra into that. Roto noted from his pain. After a few moments of pain, the stunning effect of the electrocution went away, and 3 IWA genin were able to move. Okay, that's done with. Come on, we have to help Sensei. Roto stated. The 3 IWA genin turned to face their client. Yen was shaking and hiding behind a nearby tree. Yen-san, are you okay? You didn't get hurt at all during that battle, did you? Roto asked, checking up on the client. And no. One of you always by me when I needed it. Yen stuttered out. Okay, as long as you are fine. Kurotsuchi spoke, relief in her voice. Now, one of us should stick with you while the other two go help Han-sensei. Let's dash. The kunoichi never got to finish her speech as the trio all of a sudden felt a massive wave of chakra pass them. Yen nearly passed out in shock while the genin started to shake. What was that? The merchant questioned nervously. Is Han-sensei releasing the gobi? The students came to the same conclusion. The three turned in the direction of the battlefield where their sensei was, nervous to find out if their answer was correct or not. As Han got up, red chakra proceeded to surround the man. In a few seconds, the Jinchuriki was covered in a cloak of the red chakra, with one chakra tail sticking out of his armor's backside. Ha ha! Looks like he is finally using the gobi's chakra. Nasumarita cheered as he readied his lightning rod. Things are going to get really good now. Damn it, you stupid brat, focus. Kakuzu commanded as he focused on the Jinchuriki, ready for any possible action. Han paid the men no mind for a moment. He breathed in and out, making sure that he was the one in control of his body. After feeling confident that the gobi had zero influence over him, he turned to face his genin students. Kurotsuchi, Risho, Roto, take Yen and leave. This battle has gotten too dangerous for all of your safety, so you four need to get out. Han ordered. The three genin seemed to get out of the shock of seeing Han in his chakra cloak. They each simultaneously shook their heads in disagreement. Han-sensei, we can't do that. We can't let you take them on yourself. Kurotsuchi called out. You are genin and I am your jonin commander, you will do as I say. Han informed them. You need to leave and protect the client. The three IWA genin turned to face Yen, looking at him intently. The merchant seemed extremely terrified, more so than earlier due to all the action he had witnessed. He looked awkward and out of place. Despite all of these obvious feelings, the man was trying to come off strong and determined. Actually, Han-sama, as the client, and my authority equals yours in terms of orders. Yen declares with a slight stutter. The man was still coming to try come off tougher than he actually felt. As he continued to speak, however, he started to feel more confident. And I order them to fight with you. I can't, in good conscience, allow you to fight on your own against these villains. I'll put my life on the like you all have, and be unprotected for a while here if it means that they can fight with you. Yen, you dash the Jinchuriki started. Save it, sensei. It would be dishonorable to leave you. Risho declared as he raised his sword once again. We got your back. Roto added as he raised his kunai again. We aren't abandoning you, Han-sensei. Karatsuchi stated, making hand signs. Their words surprised Han. His students were disobeying his orders, in order to fight with him and make sure he lives. He was even wearing the chakra cloak of the Gobi, but humans were actually willing to put their lives on the line for him? Ah, how touching. Natsumarita noted with a sigh, his lightning rod lighting up at the point. Not like it matters if they stayed or not, they were going to die regardless. Han finally focused his attention back to the Akatsuki members. You won't harm them or me. You both will die at my hands. PSH. Natsumarita scoffed as he pointed his lightning rod at the genin. You can't stop us. Lightning sty dash. Natsumarita didn't get a chance to finish his sentence as arrows started flying towards him and Kakuzu. His jutsu was interrupted as he, along with his partner, jumped out of the way. Reinforcements? Kakuzu questioned as he started to scan the area for nearby enemies. Four figures jumped out of the trees and landed in front of Han. The IWA shinobi gasped, it was the Konoha shinobi. You guys. Roto mumbled in surprise. Looks like Konoha is interfering too. I didn't plan on this. Kakuzu grumbled. Doesn't matter, they'll die as well. His partner replied. We were going to frame them with the disappearance though. This makes things complicated. The former Taki shinobi reminded him. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Natsumarita shrugged as he took a hard look at the new Konoha shinobi. His eyes seemed to focus on Hinata in particular, however. Those eyes. She's a Hyuga. And no seal? Seal? Unsealed Byakuganha. Anko-san, what are you and your team doing here? Han questioned, once again in surprise. Naruto was the one to answer, a smirk on his face. We're here to help. These guys are doing down Databao. Chapter 10, The Demon Within. Anko-san, what are you and your team doing here? Han questioned, once again in surprise. Naruto was the one to answer, a smirk on his face. We're here to help. These guys are doing down Databao. The IWA shinobi looked at the Konoha shinobi in shock. They couldn't understand why Konoha would willingly help an IWA team under attack. Han was also surprised that another group of people were willing to assist him. After years of despising humanity, he had been helped by two groups of humans one after another. This went against everything he believed. Konoha shinobi, this doesn't involve you. Get out of here. Natsumarita ordered, his eyes glaring at the newcomers. The Konoha shinobi turned their attention to the two men in front of them. Naruto was, once again, the first to answer. Like hell we are going. You guys tried to attack our friends, so you're gonna pay. He informed them. Friends? When the hell did we become friends? Risho questioned suspiciously. He wasn't one to deny assistance when it's needed, but he couldn't but be suspicious. Naruto, stand back. Anko ordered her student as she stood in front of her team. She didn't want her student to be the first one these men attacked when the fighting started. We are here to defend and assist the IWA shinobi. Now, who are you guys? Why are you attacking? Tell us this and get out of here, and we'll leave you both alone. These two managed to make Han use the Gobi's chakra. They must be really tough. I'll need to take this serious. Anko noted as she studied the two men in front of her. Humph. Such arrogance. Think you can order us around Mitarashi, Anko? Kakuzu noted in amusement. Anko's eyes narrowed at having her name called out. If you are going to interfere, then I guess we just have to kill you too. I recognize you from the bingo book, and I know what you're worth. You have a decent bounty on your head, so killing you will be worth the extra energy. The Konoha Genin got into position, ready to fight at any moment. Anko got into her own personal stance while she continued to study the men in front of her, trying to identify them. We don't really have time to be dealing with both of these teams, Kakuzu. Taking on 8 targets at once would be a pain. Nasamurita grumbled. Let's split up the work and get this over with. I'll take the Konoha team and you take on the IWA Shinobi. Seems you want the easier job. I'm fine with that though. Kakuzu shrugged. Just kill them fast. I may need assistance with capturing the Jinchuriki. Naruto's eyes widened at the words. Neither of the Akatsuki members were paying too much attention to him, however, so it went unnoticed. I know that, Kakuzu. I won't take long. Nasamurita informed him as he walked forward towards the Konoha Shinobi. You better not. His partner threatened. His eyes turned and focused on Yen, who was hiding behind a tree in the distance. I'll give you this land as your battlefield. Meet me in the forest when you're done. That's where I'll be fighting. With those words, Kakuzu charged directly at Yen. The merchant's eyes widened in fear. This overwhelming fear caused Yen to pass out, his hand landing in front of the tree he was hiding behind. The IWA Shinobi realized what the man was doing and immediately chased after him to stop any attack on their client. Anko and her team were about to join them, but were stopped as Nasamurita blocked off the way towards the IWA Shinobi. Nah, not going to happen. You aren't passing. You're dealing with me. Me. Nasamurita informed the Konoha Shinobi as he continued to study them. In the distance, Kakuzu ran past where Yen was and headed off into the forest. The plan to separate the two shinobi groups worked, as the IWA team was still on his tail. The Konoha team realized that they were going to have to fight Nasamurita. Each member of Team 3 got into position again, ready to fight. Before we begin though, are you the current Hyuga heiress? The former Kumo ninja asked as he focused on Hinata. The members of Team 3 turned to Hinata, wondering why the man wanted to know about her. Hinata was equally confused. Why yes. What about it? I was right then. You're the Hyuga Kumo tried to kidnap years ago, weren't you? Nasamurita questioned. Naruto and Shikamaru's eyes widened at the information while Hinata was starting to get nervous. You're a lucky girl that your daddy saved you. Wish my mother had the same luck, but whatever. Looks like your luck's run out. Hinata's eyes widened in surprise. It was at this moment that Anko realized something about the man in front of them. Ah. Now I remember who you are. The Jonin stated. Nasamurita, the elder brother to Darui, the current Raikage right hand. You got a high bounty on your head and a kill on sight from Kumo. Nasamurita laughed almost maniacally in response. Bingo! You're looking at the man that will bring Kumobakure to its knees. In just a few years, the clouds will be covered in blood. What did you mean about your mother? Hinata asked quietly. Nasamurita's laughter stopped and his eyes hardened as he glared at the Hyuga. My mother possessed a rare bloodline limit that Kumo wanted. And unlike you, she had no one to save her from being kidnapped. What? The heiress gasped. That's dash. Disgusting? Immoral? Complete bullshit? Hell yeah it was. The Akatsuki member nearly screamed. That damn village ruined her life and basically put her in a breeding program. It got too much for her, and she ended up killing herself shortly after my younger brother was born. Darui was too young to really understand what was happening, but I knew. I saw it. I saw her body hanging from the ceiling in our damn apartment. Nasumarida's voice continued to get louder with each sentence as his rage increased. It's all Kumo's fault, but they will pay. First with their Jinchuriki, then with their lives. The Akatsuki will ensure that. All of the Konoha genin were surprised at the venom in the man's voice. Hinata, in particular, was terrified. His mother, could that have been me? If father didn't save me, would I have? Akatsuki? Anko questions. Anyway, none of that matters. I'm getting way off topic. Nasumarita stated, calming himself down. The former Kumo shinobi undid his robe as he continued to speak. We have a fight to do, and I need to kill you all. Underneath the Akatsuki robe, Nasumarita wore a dark blue gi and pants that clung tightly to his muscular body. Over his gi was a light brown bag with more silver lightning rods sticking out of it. Nasumarita took out a second silver lightning rod and held both of his rods up to the sky. Storm style, summoning jutsu. Thunder could be heard from the sky above. Lightning flashes were also visible. What once was a clear, sunny sky was replaced with black clouds with visible lightning traveling between the clouds. The thunder continued to get louder each second. Naruto, Hinata, Shikamaru, stay back and keep your guard up. This guy is way out of your league. Anko informed them as she made a hand sign. Leave the heavy fighting to me for now. Satisfied with the storm above him, Nasumarita lowered his lightning rods. He pointed one towards Anko and released a bolt of lightning at her. Anko jumped out of the way as her students backed up to avoid the blast. The special Jonin then faced Nasumarita and took in a deep breath before releasing a giant fireball from her mouth at him. Fireball jutsu? Seriously? What do you take me for? Nasumarita scoffed as he jumped backwards to avoid the blast. I'll show you a true jutsu. Nasumarita unleashed another bolt of lightning from his lightning rod towards Anko. Anko retaliated with more fireballs. The two shinobi continued to dodge the other's attacks while remaining on the offensive. Anko's Genin students stayed at the edge of the battlefield, watching their sensei fight her opponent in a state of awe and surprise. At the same time though, they were looking for an opening. If Anko-sensei can get an opening in, we can take it. We can help kill this guy quickly. Shikamaru noted as his eyes remained glued to the fight. His other teammates were thinking along the same lines. Still, I'm curious about that thunderstorm. What is that Kumo guy going to do with it? He questioned, trying to work out what was going on. Looks like Nasumarita is taking this seriously. Kakuzu noted to himself as he looked up at the sky. Finally. Maybe he won't waste time and kill them quickly so he can assist me in capturing the Gobi. The IWA shinobi looked up at the thunderstorm with caution. I don't trust that storm. Hans spoke to his students. Watch the sky for any sudden attacks. The three genin nodded in agreement as they got in fighting stances, preparing for the first strike from the Akatsuki member. Thanks to you, I'm going to have to take some time to get a new Earth Heart. Kakuzu informed Han. Let's get this over with. Lightning style, John. The four IWA shinobi jumped out of the way of the lightning blast, which exploded upon impact with the ground. Han took the time to get close to Kakuzu. The red chakra of the Gobi surrounded his fist as he tried to land a hit on the man. The Akatsuki member avoided it, causing Han's fist to make impact with the ground. Another explosion resulted from the impact. I see. So, you use the Gobi's chakra in a similar manner to your steam. It's used to increase your strength and speed. Kakuzu noted. It seems even more powerful than your steam. You still talk too much. Han replied as he attempted to punch Kakuzu again. The former Taki ninja, once again, barely dodged the attack. Han's genin decided to take the time to strike at Kakuzu. Kuratsuchi maneuvered in first, making hand signs. Lava style, quicklime jutsu. The corrosive gas flew from the kunoichi's mouth towards Kakuzu. He dodged the blast, and then barely avoided a hit from Han. Risho and Roto then came forwards, ready to deliver their own strike at the former Taki shinobi. Wind style, Atsugai. Kakuzu shouted after making a single hand sign. Kakuzu's wind mask released a tornado-shaped mass of wind from its mouth. The wind was then scattered around Kakuzu and his masks, hitting everything around them. The IWA shinobi tried to remain standing still, but were blown back by the blast of wind. While Han was only knocked back a few feet, his genin students were knocked back much further with multiple cuts on their exposed skin. They all hit the ground deep within the forest hard. Risho. Roto. Kuratsuchi. Han shouted at his students in fright. Damn brats. Can't let you all gang up on me like that. Kakuzu stated annoyed at what had happened as he made another hand sign. Water style, water clone jutsu. 2 clones of Kakuzu were formed from the water vapor in the air. The shinobi and his clones then charged forwards towards the IWA genin, ready to finish them off before capturing the gobi. To his surprise, Han jumped in the way and attempted to deliver another chakra-filled fist at the original. Kakuzu jumped out of the way while his clones merely turned direction and faced Han. Interesting. I'm surprised you would try and defend them. Report said you didn't care for your students. Kakuzu noted in mild amusement. You won't kill them. You are dying here. Han shouted as he made a hand sign. Kakuzu only smirked in response, making another hand sign. His clones got into position to charge at the IWA shinobi. This should be interesting. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Anko unleashed multiple fireballs flying directly at Naruto. The former Kumo shinobi responded by holding up his lightning rods to the sky. Storm style, Shield of Lightning. He shouted as his lightning rods started to light up. Blue lightning fell down from the sky and struck the lightning rods. The lightning then spread from the rods and formed a protective shield around the storm user. Anko's fireballs made contact with the lightning shield and faded away immediately. You're starting to kind of bore me, you know? I actually enjoy a good fight, so try and entertain me. Naruto taunted as he lowered one of his lightning rods and pointed it at Anko. The blue lightning surrounding him was immediately channeled into the lightning rod and shot towards the Konoha Special Jonin. Anko barely jumped out of the way in time. The lightning caused a massive explosion on the ground, causing debris to scatter and hit Anko. The woman grunted in pain before she got out of the way of the debris and held out her hand. Hidden Shadow Snake Hands. 4 snakes appeared from underneath Anko's sleeves and shot forwards at Naruto. They moved at a speed faster than her fireballs and made contact with the Akatsuki member. 2 of them gripped onto the lightning rods and tossed them away, while the other 2 bit into both of his hands, holding him tightly in place. The former Kumo ninja winced in pain. Anko smirked as she pulled her hand back, attempting to drag Naruto back towards her. Naruto glared at Anko as he stood his ground. He closed his eyes before he channeled his chakra into his hands. The shock of his storm chakra caused the snakes to let go of his hands, setting him free. The man then reached into his bag to take out 2 more lightning rods. As he was pulling them out, arrows were fired at him. He immediately jumped out of the way before he turned to face Anko's genin. They were all poised ready to strike at him. Hinata, in particular, had another arrow loaded in her bow. Eager to die, are you? I was going to kill you 3 after your sensei was dead, but I'll be happy to kill you all now if you want. He hissed. See if you can. Naruto replied as he made his favorite hand sign. Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. The three genin were surrounded by 100 Naruto clones. The clones didn't waste a second before charging directly at the Akatsuki member. Naruto, Hinata, and Shikamaru followed closely behind. Shadow clones? Interesting. Maybe you'll be fun after all. Naruto smirked as he made a few hand signs. He then pointed his lightning rods at the genin and the clones. Storm style, laser circus. Multiple beams of blue lightning were released from the lightning rods and went towards the approaching clones. They made direct contact with many clones, causing them to disappear before they could get close. In mere seconds, half of Naruto's clones were destroyed. Hinata fired more arrows at the man while Shikamaru threw kunai that had explosive tags attached to them. When Naruto noticed them, he stopped his jutsu to get out of the way from the incoming attacks. This gave Naruto and his remaining the clones the opportunity to get in close to the man. The original and his clones all raised their fists and prepared to beat him down. Naruto quickly held his lightning rods up and used his storm style, shield of lightning. The blue lightning surrounded him before any of the clones landed a successful blow at him. By the time the clones struck, they were attacked by the lightning around him. They were all immediately destroyed. Naruto was sent flying backwards in pain, electricity moving through his body. Shikamaru caught him before he could fly too far back. Naruto dropped his lightning shield and channeled his lightning into his lightning rods. He pointed them at the Konoha genin, ready to kill them. Before he could release the lightning, however, Anko got in close and delivered a punch to his face. Naruto fell to the ground and accidentally released all of the lightning in a random direction, hitting none of his targets. Anko immediately jumped on top of the Akatsuki member, a smirk on her face. "Careless, aren't you?" Anko taunted as she made hand signs. Fire style, Dragon Flame Jutsu. Anko breathed out fire from her mouth, which made direct contact with the man on the ground. Naruto's body was burnt to a crisp before it faded away, leaving nothing but a small lightning rod and blue lightning in its place. The blue lightning then charged at Anko. The special Jonin cancelled her jutsu and jumped out of the way as quick as she could. "A clone, huh? Damn it." She cursed before her eyes wandered the battlefield. "Okay, where are you?" Naruto responded by jumping out of a tree near the edge of the forest and released his storm style, laser circus. All the beams of lightning were aimed at the special Jonin. "Anko-sensei, look out!" Naruto said as he got up from his position in Shikamaru's arms and made a hand signs. "Wind style, great breakthrough." Naruto breathed out a strong gust of wind that collided with the multiple beams of lightning, causing most of them to fade away. Anko was then able to avoid the remaining beams and join up with her students. "Looks like you got that jutsu down pretty well. Thanks for the help." Anko praised her student, a smirk on her face. Naruto nodded in acceptance before he focused back on the Akatsuki member. He seems impossible to hit at close range. He always uses that shield technique to block any close attacks. I'm also too far away to actually use my shadow possession on him. Guess we have to keep up the long range, or make an opening, so that one of us can get in and strike him hard. Shikamaru informed his team. Hinata nodded in agreement. "Shikamaru-kun and I can keep attacking from a distance. Naruto-kun and Anko-sensei may be able to take advantage of any opening we can create and hopefully stop him. That's how we have to handle him, yeah." Anko replied. "We're doing good. We just have to keep this up." The Konoha shinobi stopped discussing amongst themselves and prepared to strike again. Hinata prepared her bow while Shikamaru reached for more kunai. Anko and Naruto were ready to get in close and strike. Damn them. Every time I'm about to kill one of them, another one intervenes. This is pissing me off. Why does every Konoha shinobi have to act like a frickin' hero? Naruto grumbled in his head. I've wasted way too much chakra already in this fight and earlier. If I actually want to help Kakuzu capture the Gobi, I'm going to have to kill them now. No more playing around, let's finish this. Ninja Art, Steam Cannon Jutsu. Fire Style, Zukaku. Han released a beam of steam from his furnace at Kakuzu, while Kakuzu's fire mask unleashed a gigantic fireball at the IWA Jonin. The two jutsu collided and created an explosion. As the explosion faded away, the two water clones charged at Han. Han blocked both clones' fists. He then retaliated with a kick that went straight through one of the clones' body. The clone immediately turned back to water. Han then tried to punch and destroy the other clone, but it avoided the attack. It then got behind Han and held him in a chokehold. Before Han could react, Kakuzu made hand signs, causing his fire and wind masks to come forward. The two masks then released Fire Style, Zukaku and Wind Style, Atsugai simultaneously. The two jutsu combined and created a massive firestorm that was aimed solely at Han. The IWA Jonin was able to release himself from the clone's chokehold and destroy it before the firestorm could reach him. He then made a hand sign, causing more of the Gobi's chakra to appear around him. The chakra then hardened around him as the firestorm struck him. His new hardened chakra protected him from the attack. By the time the firestorm faded away, Han was still standing in the same place. His chakra turned transparent once again, and the man began breathing heavily. His furnace was overheating more and his armor had burn marks on it, but not nearly as many as he should have had. Oh. So, you harden the Gobi's chakra and use it as a second armor to protect yourself from my attack? Very impressive. Kakuzu noted. However, you seem very tired. Even more than you were earlier. The technique must have taken a lot out of you. Han gave no reply. His heavy breathing was enough of an answer for Kakuzu. You can't handle much more fighting. It shouldn't take that much before we can capture you. The Akatsuki member stated as he charged at Han again. The Gobi Jinchuriki got into a defensive stance, preparing for Kakuzu's next attack. Before Kakuzu could reach Han, Kuratsuchi rushed forward from the back of the battlefield. She breathed out her lava-style, quicklime jutsu at the man. Kakuzu jumped out of the way of the corrosive gas. Immediately after landing on the ground, he was flanked by both Risho and Roto. Risho stabbed the man's side with his sword while Roto stabbed him with a kunai with a poison tip. Kakuzu winced slightly in pain before he raised his fists, ready to strike down at the IWA Genin. Before he could hit them, Kuratsuchi breathed out another quicklime gas cloud at Kakuzu. The three ninja were forced to jump out of the way, preventing Kakuzu from striking the genin that were at his side. Damn brats, he cursed. It's a shame I have to kill you all now. A few years later, and you all might have been worth a high bounty together. The three IWA genin hurried over to their sensei's side. Are you okay, Han-sensei? Kuratsuchi asked. Yes, I'm fine. Han replied between breaths. You three, that was great teamwork. Good job. Heh. Naturally. Roto replied to his sensei's praise with a large grin on his face. Kuratsuchi had a similar grin on hers. Even Risho couldn't help but smirk in response. Anyway, stay focused, you three. We need to finish him off soon. Han stated as he got into a position to charge at Kakuzu. His three genin nodded in agreement and got in similar positions. All right, let's do this. Anko informed her team. Shikamaru, Hinata, you guys get us an opening. Naruto, stay behind me. Be careful, you guys. The three genin nodded at their sensei's words before they went with their plan. Hinata and Shikamaru attacked from a distance with their weapons while Anko and Naruto proceeded to get closer. Nasumarita dodged all of the attacks coming his way. After a few seconds, the man jumped backwards and raised his lightning rods upward. Naruto and Anko stopped their movement, waiting to see what the man was going to do before getting any closer. Storm style, lightning rain. He screamed. The lightning rods lit up once again. The sound of thunder started to get louder, causing all of the Konoha shinobi to feel pain in their ears. Soon after, multiple bolts of blue lightning rained down from the sky and fell down throughout the battlefield. Shit! Anko cursed as she immediately made a hand sign for substitution. Everyone, get out of here now. Anko's words and her jutsu came too late. The blue lightning struck down before they could react, hitting the Konoha shinobi. All four ninjas screamed in pain before they fell to the ground. Static was visible all around the shinobi. The four shinobi tried to stand up after the lightning, but each one found out they couldn't. No matter how much energy they put, they couldn't get up. What's going on? Hinata asked in a voice mixed with unimaginable pain and fear. I can't move. Shikamura gasped. No. Naruto moaned. Body, come on. Give up. It's useless. Naruto replied nonchalantly as he approached the Konoha shinobi. The man was breathing in and out, as if the jutsu he used took a lot out of him. That technique of mine paralyzes anything it hits. Granted, it's only for a short time, but you all will be dead before it fades. Dead? No. I can't die. Not now. Naruto panicked as he tried to get up. I can't let him kill my friends. Shit. Anko cursed as she struggled in her paralysis. This isn't how it's supposed to end. I won't let him kill my students. It's my job to protect them, and I'll do my fucking job. Come on, Anko. Move, damn it. Naruto chuckled. And despite my words, you all still try to move. Just stop. Relax and try and enjoy your last moments. He said as he walked towards Hinata. Anywho, I'll start with you, Hyuga. Hinata gasped in fear as her attempts to move increased. She still couldn't move. The girl started to cry, realization creeping over her. I'm sorry everyone, I can't do anything. If it's any consolation, when I kill you, I'm going to destroy your eyes. That way Kumo or any village won't be able to take your bloodline for their own. Naruto informed Hinata as he grabbed her by her jacket. He placed the tip of his lightning rod by her throat. He's going to kill Hinata. He's going to kill her. Naruto nearly screamed in his head as he continued to struggle against his paralysis. Are you going to let him do that? Are you just going to watch him kill her? A voice in Naruto's head asked. No, and no. He roared in reply. Then I have a gift for you. Use it to stop him. The voice spoke, starting to get louder. An image of the Kyuubi appeared in Naruto's mind. Use it. To kill him. Naruto and the voice spoke in near unison. Red chakra formed around Naruto. His fingernails began to develop into claws, and his whisker marks became more noticeable. His eyes turned red and narrowed at Naruto. Anko, despite her paralyzed state, noticed Naruto's chakra developing. Shit. So it's happening. The Kyuubi is taking over. Damn body, move. I need to help my students. Naruto was about to slit Hinata's throat when he noticed a new, malicious chakra developing around him. The hell is that? He mumbled as he turned his head to face its source. Naruto was slowly standing up, breaking out of his paralysis. The more he got up, the more his new appearance developed. A red tail of chakra formed after the blonde shinobi was standing up. The Kyuubi had taken almost complete control. The IWA shinobi in Kakuzu were about to continue their fight when they noticed another large powerful chakra source appear. They all turned to face the new source to identify it. That's a powerful source of chakra. Powerful and dark. Kakuzu noted, surprise on his face. It's similar to the Gobi's chakra actually. Is one of Konoha's shinobi a Jinchuriki? Does one of them have the Kyuubi? Naruto. Han realized what was happening. Naruto was pushed too far, and had to draw out the fox's power. What is that? I'm not even a sensor, and I can feel that chakra. Roto exclaimed. I'm not for certain. It feels like Sensei's chakra. Risho mumbled quietly. It is. It feels just like it. Kuratsuchi nodded. Her mind was filled with questions and thoughts. Does that mean that someone from Konoha is a Jinchuriki like Han-sensei? Who? I can sense about one tail worth of chakra. That's still dangerous, especially since he probably doesn't know how to control the Kyuubi's chakra. I'm going to have to help him before he destroys everything and everyone here. Han thought. The IWA Jonin made a hand sign, summoning more chakra from the Gobi. Another tail of red chakra appeared next to the first tail. He then got ready to charge at Kakuzu. I have to end this quick. No way. He can't break out of that paralysis. No human can. Natsumorita's eyes widened in shock. And that form, is he Konoha's Jinchuriki? No, it can't be. Zetsu would have informed us if the Kyuubi was involved with the mission as well as the Gobi. It can't be. Finally free from the paralysis, Naruto wasted no time in charging at Natsumorita with newfound speed. Natsumorita had no time to react, Naruto was already in front of him. The Jinchuriki delivered a powerful, chakra-filled fist right in the face of the former Kumo ninja. He was sent flying backwards, dropping his lightning rods and Hinata in the process. The girl hit the ground with a loud thump. And Naruto-kun? She mumbled in shock, both from Naruto saving her and from Naruto's current physical state. Natsumorita landed on the ground near the forest by the bridge. He got up as quick as he could. Naruto was still glaring at him angrily and was poised to attack. No. Jinchuriki or not, he must die. I will not let him kill me. The Akatsuki member declared as he pulled out 2 lightning rods from his bag. Naruto noticed the man's lightning rods. The Jinchuriki responded by making hand signs. Wind style, great breakthrough. Storm style, shield of lightning. Naruto released a gust of wind from his mouth. The storm in the sky rained down blue lightning that covered Natsumorita in his protective shield. The wind collided head-on with the lightning shield. The 2 jutsu held each other in a standstill, competing to overwhelm the other jutsu. No, my shield should have stopped that wind on impact. He should not have the power to be able to fight back. It must be the demon in him. He must really be a Jinchuriki. Natsumorita noted, fear starting to take over his mind. I've wasted too much chakra in this fight and the fight earlier with the Gobi Jinchuriki, and my jutsu's strength is based on my chakra. If this keeps up, then dash. Natsumorita's thoughts were interrupted as the wind overpowered the lightning. The shield faded away, allowing the wind to him, blowing him back further at a great speed. Natsumorita made direct contact with a tree, knocking the breath out of him. 2 kunai knives were then thrown at him, pinning him to the tree. He screamed in pain. Naruto charged forward. Natsumorita closed his eyes, the outcome obvious to him. Shit, Pain-sama, I failed, please, destroy Kumo for me. He thought. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki delivered a powerful punch straight into the Akatsuki member. He was sent straight through the tree he was pinned to and any other tree he made contact with. Natsumorita eventually stopped moving backwards after hitting a large rock formation deep within the forest. The man fell to the ground immediately after impact, dead. With its summoner dead, the thunderstorm in the sky faded away. Han charged at Kakuzu faster than earlier. The Akatsuki member had no time to react. The IWA Jonin delivered a punch straight through his chest, crushing another of Kakuzu's hearts. He coughed up blood. Han then removed his fist and delivered a kick that sent Kakuzu crashing back to a tree, causing him to cough up even more blood. It was after the impact of tree that Kakuzu noted that the thunderstorm was no longer in the sky. This mission just reached its worst possible situation. Naruto is dead, 2 of my hearts are destroyed, and another Jinchuriki is here. I could maybe salvage the situation with the Gobi and capture him, but I would be killed immediately by the other Jinchuriki. Kakuzu noted as he got up from his position by the tree. He immediately made a hand sign and called his masks back into his body. There's no other choice. I need to retreat. Han noticed what the man was doing and immediately charged again. You're not getting away from me that easily. It was too late. Kakuzu used the Shunshin and got away in time before Han's attack. The Gobi Jinchuriki's fist made contact with the tree and caused it to fall to the ground. Han immediately scanned the area, looking for the Akatsuki member. He's still in the area. I can sense him. I'll hunt him down and kill him before he can get a dash. The man's thought process was interrupted as he felt the chakra source from earlier increase. I'll deal with him later. First things first, I need to help Naruto. Han immediately ran towards the direction of the chakra source. His students, all curious about the chakra, immediately followed behind. That man had a partner. His partner must be out there somewhere. He'll try and kill your friends. He'll try and kill you. You must find him and kill him. Destroy everything in your way until you find him. The Kyuubi told Naruto. Naruto only roared in response, giving his agreement. The boy had no real say in what he was doing. The Kyuubi had taken nearly full control over his body and actions. As Naruto was preparing to go on his hunt, Naruto's paralysis started to fade away in his teammates' bodies. Hinata, Shikamaru, and Anko, who had been struggling to get up, were finally able to stand and get moving. The 3 Konoha shinobi immediately hurried over to Naruto as quickly as they could. The paralysis was still affecting them, however, causing their movements to be slower than usual. The 3 eventually got over to Naruto, and were surprised at the sight of Naruto in his one-tailed form. And Naruto? Shikamaru questioned. Naruto turned his attention to the Konoha shinobi. Despite the Kyuubi's influence, he was still present. Relief appeared in his eyes, knowing that his friends were okay. They are going to get in the way of the hunt. Remove them. Kyuubi ordered. Naruto was about to walk forward and comply with the Kyuubi's demand before he stopped himself. He grabbed onto his head and started shaking it. No. They are my friends. He replied. They are going to be in the way. The fox replied. Naruto? Are you okay? Shikamaru asked his friend. Naruto's only response was a loud yell. He was trying to fight back the urges to kill his friends. Shit, 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 shit. Kyuubi is really taking over. Damn, why is my body not in top condition? Why can't I do anything for my team? Anko cursed herself. She then took another look at her student. Naruto, you are tough, fight that damn fox back. Hinata took a slow step forward from her fellow shinobi. Her eyes were filled with even more tears now that she saw Naruto in the anguish he was in. And Naruto-kun, it's over. That man is dead. We are done fighting. Hinata told him as confidently as she could. It's all over. No, it's not. That other man is still alive. She's trying to stop you. Get rid of her. Kyuubi demanded. And no. She's my friend. They're all my friends. I'm not going to kill them. Naruto replied back. As Naruto struggled against the fox's control, Han arrived at the scene. The man wasted no time in hurrying over to Naruto's side. He then grabbed Naruto's head with both of his hands. The 2 Jinchuriki froze immediately in place. What's going on? Hinata asked nervously as she stared at her crush and the IWA Jonin. Anko and Shikamaru said nothing. They continued to stare at the two Jinchuriki as well. After a few seconds, Han's students hurried over to join the group. They too watched both Jinchuriki stand in place. After a few minutes, they finally moved. Han fell to one knee while Naruto passed out on the ground. The tailed beast's chakra faded away from the two, leaving them both without any demonic influence. Naruto/Naruto-kun. Shikamaru and Hinata shouted in unison as they rushed over to their friend as quickly as they could. Anko followed behind, but gave Han a look. "What did you do? How did you stop the fox?" she asked him. I made a mental link between us and our tailed beasts," Han replied in between breaths. The fox got its first taste of blood in years and was being unruly. Naruto-san and I convinced the fox to calm down. It took a lot out of us though. Anko nodded in response before she rushed over to her student's side. She sat with Shikamaru and Hinata and watched over Naruto to make sure he was okay. Han watched the Konoha shinobi look after Naruto. He knew they had witnessed him in his one-tailed state, but they didn't care. Not every human is like that though. I know quite a few who are different. They are my friends. They were just focused on him, and if he was okay. They saw him not as a demon but for he was. They saw him as Naruto. Naruto-san, looks like you were right. There are humans that see you for who you are. Han realized. Han-sensei, are you okay? Han then turned his head and saw his three genin students. Kuratsuchi, Risho, and Roto were staring at him just like the Konoha shinobi were staring at Naruto. They were looking at him with concern for his well-being. I'm fine. I just need rest, Han told them. The Jonin's eyes started to close and a smile appeared on his face. Looks like I may have people just like you, Naruto-san. With that thought, Han passed out from a combination of physical and chakra exhaustion. The battle with Akatsuki was over for now. The Gobi Jinchuriki had time to take a well-deserved rest. Chapter 11, Mission Complete. The first thing Naruto registered was a bright light. The blonde winced in pain, the light blinding him. Only after a few seconds when the light started to fade did the boy see or feel anything else. Naruto realized he was lying on grass near a campsite located within a forest. To the far left of his peripheral vision, he could see a bridge, revealing to the boy where he was. Guess I'm still in Kusa no Kuni, he noted. The boy then gripped his head for a second. Ugh, my head hurts. How long have I been asleep for? Naruto started to sit up. The boy was now simply sitting in the grass instead of laying down. With his new position, Naruto could now see where he was better. He also was able to see he wasn't the only one in the area. Hinata and Shikamaru were standing by a tree near the boy. The two were engaged in discussion, having not noticed their friend wake up. Shikamaru-kun, she's a nice girl. You should be nicer to her, Hinata informed her friend. She's nice. But troublesome. Shikamaru shrugged in response. I'm nice enough already. But you could try and talk to her more. She's always trying to talk to you, she said. Yeah, to get information about Konoha. She's kind of fun to talk to at times, but I'm not interested in talking about the village every second, he replied. So Shikamaru's got a thing for Kuratsuchi? Naruto asked, finally making his presence known. Shikamaru and Hinata immediately stopped arguing with each other and faced Naruto. Both of them had a look of shock on their faces before excitement and relief came over them. They then rushed over to his side. Naruto-kun, you're finally awake. Hinata cheered with a loud smile. Naruto returned her smile and got up. Hey, be careful, man. Don't stress your body that much. Shikamaru advised as he bended to help Naruto up further. The blonde just dodged his friend and stood up on his own. No need. I'm fine. I feel perfectly fine, Naruto said before a frown crept on his face. How long have I been knocked out if you guys are that worried for me? About a little more than a day, a new voice stated. The three Konoha genin then turned their heads to see both Anko and Han. Han was standing in front of a nearby tree while Anko was sitting on one of the tree's lower branches. Anko-sensei. Han. Naruto greeted with a wave. What's up, Whiskers? Feeling okay? Anything wrong? His sensei questioned. You too, sensei? Naruto sighed. Other than my head hurting a little, I'm fine. You better damn well be. After all that rest, you should be fine for a while. Anko noted with a laugh. Oh, ha ha ha. Naruto mimicked his teacher's laugh with a scowl. The scowl disappeared almost immediately when he saw the sleeping bags and the campfire. Are we still by Tenchi Bridge camping out? Correct. Han spoke up. That fight with those men drained everyone involved, you and me in particular, Naruto-san. When I woke up from my unconsciousness, your sensei and I agreed we would camp together for the next 3 days to give you time to wake up and for everyone to recover. I see. Naruto shrugged. What day is it now? The 1st. Shikamaru answered. You actually woke up about 3 hours after Han-sama. Hinata added. Her words caused Han to sigh. Please don't call me that. I hate it when people give me honorifics. I only barely tolerate sensei from my students. Speaking of them, where are they? And Yin-san? Naruto asked. Troublesome. You ask way too many questions. Shikamaru noted. Naruto scowled, causing the Nara to grin. Shikamaru had missed their daily banter. Yin-san wanted to go on a walk, and they accompanied him since he needs to be watched. They'll probably be back in an hour. The blonde boy nodded in understanding. Naruto, I know you probably want to talk to Hinata and Shikamaru, but Han and I need to speak to you alone for a little bit. Won't be long. Anko said. Her students noticed that she didn't use their nicknames, meaning that they were going to talk about something serious. Okay. The Konoha Jinchuriki replied before he turned to his friends. Guess I'll catch up with you guys in a second. Be back soon. Okay. Have fun, Naruto-kun. Hinata said. Shikamaru only gave a wave in response. With that out of the way, Naruto hurried over to the senseis. They then walked into the forest, ready to converse. So, those guys were attacking because of the Gobi? Naruto asked out of clarification. Both Jonin nodded. They outright informed me. I think they thought they would capture me and didn't bother to hide behind some lie. And they probably would have been able to capture me if you all didn't assist. Even with my students, the man I fought, Kakuzu, was tough. If I had to keep fighting both him and his partner at the same time, they might have been able to overpower me. Han admitted. Naruto let the information sink before he sighed in relief. Good thing we came then Databeo. And also, a good thing we got rid one of them. Yeah, I'm not sure if that last bit matters much. Anko spoke up with a sigh. Before the fight, Nasamurita, the guy we fought, mentioned something called Akatsuki. I think they may be part of a whole organization. They also seemed rather professional when I fought them both. I could tell they were fighting with the intent of knocking me out, not killing me. They had an agenda and seemed to follow it perfectly. I agree with Anko-san, those men were part of an organization. Han stated. And I think it's safe to say that the other members of this organization are equally strong. Naruto seemed to get nervous about this information. What do you think they want? They outright said they wanted the Gobi. If I had to guess, I'd assume they are targeting Jinchuriki. The IWA Jonin guessed. Silence filled the air after Han's words. It was finally broken a minute after by Naruto. Well, then we just get stronger, he declared. I refuse to be captured by them. I'll keep training so when they come for me I can take them out all by myself. Databeo. That's the plan. Han nodded in agreement. We are targets. We must get stronger and be ready. Not just you guys. Anko interjected. I'm not gonna let some bastards get a hold of my student, or anyone for that matter. We all have to get stronger so we can kick their asses. That's the spirit, sensei. Naruto cheered. The mood seemed to have turned around completely. Oh, I wouldn't cheer if I were you, Whiskers. Training will become 10 times more brutal at least. Trust me when I say that. The Tokubetsu Jonin replied, a sadistic grin developing on her face. Naruto immediately shut up, now afraid of whatever his sensei was planning. Perhaps I could be of assistance as well. Han said. We have 3 days right now. I could teach Naruto-san on how to get better control of the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto's fear went away and was turned into excitement. The blonde beamed at Han before asking rather quickly, you can do that? Naturally. Us Jinchuriki can draw power from our tailed beasts. I can currently use 2 tails of the Gobi without losing control. Han mentioned. I'm uncertain how far we can get in just 3 days, but I can definitely give you a foundation that will help you get control of the Kyuubi and its chakra. If you both are going to train during these days, then you both better take it easy. Anko nearly ordered. I wasn't going to start any training until we got back to the village. Everyone needs to rest for a while. You two in particular. Take it easy until you both are at 100%. The training I have in mind won't take much out of us. You'll see. Han informed her. Anko simply shrugged in response. Anyway, we have plenty of time. Go say hi to your friends, then meet up with me out here, and we'll begin your training. Come back in an hour. Han told Naruto. The blonde nodded and was about to start running off. But before you go. Naruto turned back to Han and gave him a quizzical look. Yes? Those 2 friends of yours, cherish them and never leave them. Han nearly ordered. They never left your side the entire time you were unconscious. They were always within hearing distance if you were to wake at any moment. You made good friends, Naruto-san. I'd make sure you keep them. Naruto looked completely surprised at Han's words. The last time he brought up his friends with the man, he gave a rather cynical speech on how they would turn on him. Now the man was telling him to never leave them. Then it registered what the man said. Hinata and Shikamaru had stayed by his side the entire time he was unconscious. This surprise soon turned into pure happiness and excitement. Don't worry, I never will, Databeo. Meet you back here in an hour. The blonde then ran back in the direction he came from. He waved to Yen and the IWA Genin, who were back now, and then immediately rushed to Hinata and Shikamaru. He then crushed both of them in a hug, causing all 3 to fall to the ground. Shikamaru gasped and Hinata nearly fainted. Anko and Han watched from a distance. Anko burst into laughter at the sight while Han chuckled quietly. You've changed, Han. A hell of a lot. Anko noted between her laughter. I suppose. My opinions on you humans haven't really changed per se, I've just found exceptions. He noted with a smile. In the back of his head, he was thinking of his own students as well as Naruto and his team. An hour passed quickly. Naruto told his friends goodbye again before heading back out, deep into the forest. It didn't take him long to reach the part in the forest where Han and Anko talked to him. Anko was no longer there, but Han was. The IWA Jonin was currently meditating in front of a tree. Once Naruto had arrived, the man opened his eyes and gave the blonde a look. You're punctual. Roto could learn from you, he said with a sigh. Anybody could learn from me. Naruto boasted proudly before he remembered that he was here to learn himself. Anyway, how do we do this? How can I learn to control the Kyuubi? You're interested. Good. Hopefully that means this lesson will stick, because I don't think you'll like it based on your personality. Han noted. Now, Naruto, the key to obtaining control of the Kyuubi's chakra is meditation. Ha! Naruto questioned in both confusion and disappointment. Han sighed. Let me ask you a question. When you summoned the Kyuubi's chakra in the fight, how were you feeling? What emotions were you feeling? Naruto put some serious thought into Han's question. His head was still hurting, affecting his memory a little about the incident. He did remember enough though. He felt completely useless and he saw nothing but red. I was angry. Very angry. And I was nervous that my friends were going to die. He voiced his thoughts. The IWA Jonin nodded in understanding. You felt strong emotions. These emotions affect you and make it easier for the tailed beast to affect you. Sure, you'll get chakra, but this way results in you becoming little more than a puppet to the beast. Naruto scowled at this. He did remember that clearly. He remembered how the Kyuubi attempted to kill Hinata. He was grateful he regained control of his body, and he was going to do everything in his power to prevent that from ever happening again. Meditation will help you keep your emotions in check and help prevent the Kyuubi from taking advantage of your emotional state. Han explained, interrupting Naruto's thoughts. Also, it will increase your mind and your internal strength. This is the strength you use to draw out the beast's power from within. If you can get your mind strong enough and your emotions calm enough, you'll be able to draw chakra from the Kyuubi with no risk of him taking over, provided that you aren't taking too much chakra. Han then made a hand sign. Almost immediately his body was covered in red chakra and a tail formed. Soon, a second tail formed. Naruto took a step back in shock. As you can see, I have complete control right now. This is my limit, 2 tails of the Gobi's chakra. It is important that you discover your limit and only stay within it until you can push yourself further. Han explained before he released his hand sign. The chakra faded away almost instantaneously. Holy crap! That's so badass! Naruto exclaimed. He then got into the position he saw Han in when he got to the forest. So, meditation helps me do it? How do I actually meditate? Close your eyes and relax. Free yourself from the world around you. Don't speak and don't move. Try and control your emotions and find your inner peace. Han advised. The more you do this, the stronger your inner strength and your mind will be. This should also help with your focus, which can be useful when you're in a general battle as well. Naruto nodded and closed his eyes. He took in a deep breath and exhaled it. Han watched over the boy in his meditation in curiosity. Nearly a minute had passed before Naruto's eyes opened and a frown developed on his face. This is really boring. He grumbled to himself before closing his eyes again, trying to meditate again. Han couldn't help but facepalm. This is going to take a lot of work. Han and Naruto spent the rest of the day working on Naruto's meditation. While the blonde had difficulties concentrating in the beginning, the two had made notable improvements. They quit for the day when Yen informed them that dinner was ready, telling each other they'd continue the next day. Dinner was peaceful, especially in contrast to the night before the Akatsuki attack. Almost everyone chatted pleasantly amongst each other. Even Han spoke every few minutes, throwing out a few words or his opinions. Only Risho, who still refused to associate with the Konoha shinobi, was silent. Near the end of dinner, Han decided to prepare tea. The man went away for a few minutes before coming back carrying a teapot and cups for everyone. How you can carry all of that and not drop anything, Han-sensei? Roto asked. Do you need any help? No thanks. And I don't know, practice? It's not that difficult. The Jonin shrugged before he set the pot down. He then gave a cup to everyone and poured them tea. First sensei eats with us, then he actually talks and associates with us, and now he's made us tea. I don't know how it happened, but you've changed, Han sensei. Kuratsuchi noted mentally with a smile. Her teammates were thinking along the same lines. They, along with the Konoha shinobi and Yen, then took a look at the cup of tea. There was a little steam coming out of it, and the cup itself felt hot. Oh God. Anko now remembered the tea Han was drinking when she first met him away from camp. I didn't have enough time to make it as hot as I prefer it, but I presume it should suffice. Han informed everyone as he took a large drink of his tea. Well, I guess it isn't like that other cup. How hot can it really be? Anko wondered as she took a sip. At the same time, everyone else took a small sip from their own tea. Ah. Han immediately stopped drinking and looked around him. Shikamaru, Hinata, and Yen were on the floor nearly unconscious with bright red faces. Naruto, Roto, and Risho were all running to get water canteens, shouting variations of water. Anko was already chugging her own canteen of water, trying to cool herself and her tongue. See, come on everybody. It's not that hot. Kuratsuchi stuttered, trying to keep herself calm. Her efforts were not working, however, as visible tears were falling down her face. Han looked at the chaos around him caused by his tea. He then took a look at his tea before he took another sip. A little cold. Han mumbled in disappointment. It seems humans have weak tongues. The Jonin then noticed Naruto was back. He had already chugged his water canteen, and was now begging anyone for their water canteen. Han's sweat dropped in response. I stand corrected. It seems Jinchuriki can have weak tongues as well. Han noted with a frown before he turned his attention back to his tea. Dinner ended shortly after the incident with the tea. Everyone went off to do their own things. Naruto, Hinata, and Roto went together to go look for more firewood. Anko and Han went to go scope the surrounding environment for any threats to camp. Risho and Yen chatted together by the fire. Shikamaru found a spot near the bridge that gave a good view of the sunset in the sky. He laid down on his back and started to watch. A few minutes into it, however, he was joined by another person. Room for one more? Kuratsuchi asked with a grin as she laid down next to him. Ugh, troublesome. Shikamaru grumbled. You can watch, yes. You seem upset about that. Don't want me here? She asked with narrowed eyes. It's not that. You're actually a pretty cool girl, especially compared to some that I know back home. But, I just want to relax right now. All you ever do is relax, lazy ass. She snapped, interrupting him. And all you do is ask me questions about Konoha that you can ask anyone else. He replied, ignoring her interruption. The Iwa Kunoichi shrugged in response. What can I say? I'm just curious about Konoha, considering every story you tell me is different from what I've heard about you guys. No, really? The Nara asked sarcastically. Considering our villages don't have the best relationship, that isn't surprising. I know that. So, I like hearing what you guys have to say about your village. Especially you, because you don't sugarcoat your village and just say how you see it. I can actually believe what you have to say about it. You're blunt, and I like that. And it actually sounds a lot like Iwa, just with fewer mountains and more trees. Kuratsuchi stated. Shikamaru accepted her response, now understanding why she always came for questions. A question of his own then entered his mind. What are the clouds like in Iwa? Considering the mountains, you guys are probably a lot closer to them. Clouds? She asked. Yeah, they are a lot closer to us than they are here or probably in Konoha. It's kind of cool actually. Shikamaru gave her a look. Well, if you go up high enough, it feels like you actually are in the clouds. There's one peak near the edge of the village that actually goes up past the clouds even. Kuratsuchi noted. It's actually really cool. Sometimes, if I go there, I feel like I'm flying. The Iwa Kunoichi then released what she had said and immediately blushed before she turned away. And not that I actually think about flying or anything. No, of course not. Because I know that's impossible. Of course, you don't. Shikamaru said with a smirk. Kuratsuchi scowled and lightly punched the Nara air in the arm. He grumbled before looking back up at the sunset. The girl's eyes followed suit. So, you do this all the time? Really? Just watch sunsets in clouds? She asked. And stargaze at nights? Shikamaru added. The two shinobi said nothing as they continued to stare at the sunset. This was the first time Kuratsuchi ever truly studied a sunset. She noted in particular how beautiful it was. It then dawned her that the sunsets in Iwa might be even better. You know, this is pretty relaxing. She said. Heh, you're telling me. Shikamaru replied, his smirk on his face. The two continued to stare into the sunset, no words exchanged between them. They both enjoyed the silence and each other's company. Both of them would never admit this, especially Shikamaru, but the two were actually starting to see each other as good friends. Naruto, Hinata, and Roto were almost done with their search for firewood. The three shinobi had each collected quite a few pieces of wood. Only a few more pieces, and they would be done. They were getting deep within the forest when Roto spotted something in the corner of his eye, a white flower with red dots on its petals. Ooh. Now this is something you don't see every day. He noted as he examined the flower, putting his firewood to the side for a second. Naruto and Hinata stopped their search and stared at the genin from Iwa. What are you doing? Shouldn't we still be finishing up with the firewood? Naruto asked. He then looked at the flower curiously. What's so special about that one? It's poisonous. Very poisonous. He stated excitedly as he took the flower. The boy then put it away in a pocket in his shorts. Oh yeah, I can definitely make a poison out of it. Oh, our medicine. Hinata offered. Roto looked over at her strangely. Well, I mean if you neutralize the poison, that flower has a few qualities that are useful in medical creams. She explained. Roto took out the flower and examined it closer. Yeah, you're right. I guess it could. Interesting. Shouldn't you be more careful with the flower if it's that poisonous? Naruto asked. Roto scoffed in response. Trust me, after you've dealt with as many poisons as me, you've pretty much picked up immunities to them all. And if I don't have an immunity to it, then I'm pretty sure I have an antidote somewhere. He then turned to Hinata and smiled. Didn't know you liked flowers that much. Most people don't see the practical value behind them. Oh, I love them. I actually love to press flowers and I use some of them for medicine. She said excitedly. You're not like a lot of girls I know. Roto said as he stared at the girl for a second. A blush soon came on his face. Not like them at all. Hinata failed to notice the blush on his face, but Naruto caught it. He also caught how much the boy had been staring at Hinata. He had occasionally stared at her throughout dinner. The blonde scowled. He didn't know why, but something about all the attention Roto was giving Hinata bothered him. We can look at the flowers once we are done. Let's get this firewood stuff over with first. Naruto stated. Hinata nodded in agreement with her crush. Roto only sighed as he agreed, picking up his firewood. The search continued only for a few more minutes before the three shinobi returned with plenty of firewood. About an hour later, everyone ended up going to bed. Anko and Han rotated with the watch duty during the night. Day 1 was officially over. The remaining 2 days went by similarly and quickly. By the third day, everyone was back to nearly 100%. It was then time for both teams to leave. Alright, take 2. Let's hope this time nothing happens when we separate. Anko joked. Indeed. Han noted. Yen walked forward and gave the Konoha shinobi a large smile before he started to speak. Anko-sama, Naruto-sama, Hinata-sama, Shikamaru-sama, thank you all. You've gone beyond what I paid for you. You are all extraordinary people and shinobi. I was truly blessed to have been given you as my escort. The merchant thanked. If any of you are ever in Tsuchi no Kuni, mention my name. Come by my shop and take whatever you want for free. My door will always be open for you all. I think we'll remember that. I will at least. Anko laughed. It's been a pleasure, Yen. Have a safe trip back and we'll meet again one day. Yes, we shall. Farewell. He told them. Before we separate though, may I speak with Naruto-san in private? Han asked. Everyone looked at the IWA Jonin strangely. They were in the process of leaving and now Han decides to have a private conversation? After a second, Anko shrugged. Sure. Go right ahead. Han walked off into the forest and Naruto hurried behind. You know, you all really like talking to me in private. Naruto noted teasingly. What's up, Han? Well, I wanted to congratulate you on your success with meditation. You are making good progress. Han told him. Oh, thanks. Naruto mumbled, a frown on his face. But I still got a long way to go. I can't concentrate enough to draw out the power of the Kyuubi yet. But you are making progress. You've done a lot to increase your focus. I'm wondering how your next fight will go. Your mind will be much stronger, and your focus in battle will be stronger as well. Han noted. I have a feeling you'll do well and get control of the Kyuubi soon. Naruto's frown turned into a grin. Heh, thanks, Han. Thanks for working with me. I'm sure I must have been a hard student. You have no idea. The man deadpanned before he pulled out a scroll from a pocket in his GI. Anyway, as a gift for your progress, here's a scroll for a jutsu. I've had it for some time, and it's pretty basic. It shouldn't take too long to learn. The IWA Jonin tossed Naruto the scroll. The boy caught it and immediately read the title of it. Earth Style, Headhunter Jutsu? Naruto read. But I'm a wind type. Can I even learn it? A ninja's type only affects what kind of jutsus are their specialty. Your wind jutsus will be more powerful and require less chakra, but that doesn't mean you can't learn other types of jutsus. It would actually be wise to learn others. It'll give you some variety in attacks. Han advised. That jutsu is a D rank, so it shouldn't be difficult to learn. And I think it could add some tactics to your fighting style, especially with all of the clones you use. All right. That's fine with me. Naruto cheered. Next time you see me, I'll have this jutsu down. The boy then thought about the man in front of him. Han was a Jinchuriki just like him and understood him in ways no one else could. The man had spent days working on his meditation in hopes of getting the boy able to control the Kyuubi. He had now given Naruto a jutsu to learn. Naruto had gotten to know the man well and had gotten kind of attached to him. And now he was leaving. Naruto immediately rushed at the IWA Jonin and gave him a hug. Han, in shock, returned the hug hesitantly. Thanks a lot, Han-ni. He told the man. No problem. Naruto-san, don't call me that. I hate honorifics. Han requested. Well, too bad. I'm calling you it. Naruto replied stubbornly, tightening the hug. A couple of seconds passed before the two ended their hug and headed back to their respective teams. The Konoha Shinobi and IWA Shinobi then headed on their separate ways. Hani, well, whatever. I'm excited to see what kind of shinobi you'll be when I see you next, Naruto Ototo. Han thought to himself with a smile. The journey back home to Konoha was peaceful and uneventful. Under normal circumstances, Anko would have complained about it. Considering the events that happened at Tenchi Bridge, she wasn't going to complain about peace for some time. For now, she was going to simply enjoy it. Team 3 got home faster than the trip to the bridge, considering they didn't have to slow down to yen speed. The four shinobi were excited to see the gates of Konoha. We're back! Finally! Naruto shouted. It's good to be back home. Hinata agreed with a smile. Come on guys, Ichirako has ramen for us. It's been far too long. The blonde shinobi stated excitedly as he started to run off in the direction of his favorite place to eat. As he was about to get out of sight, Anko raised her right hand. Snakes shot out of her hand and grabbed Naruto by his shoulders. The snakes then dragged Naruto back to his team. Whoa there whiskers! Anko stated with a laugh. Trust me, I want nothing more than to get some dango right now. But first things first, after a mission, we have to go inform the Hokage about it. And trust me, we have a lot time to tell him. Naruto frowned at his sensei's words before he started walking towards the academy and the Hokage's office, grumbling about ramen. Shikamaru chuckled and Hinata giggled at their friends' antics as they, along with their sensei, followed behind. The four members of Team 3 made it to the Hokage's office as quickly as they could. They walked in as another genin team left the office, most likely going on their own mission. The Hokage noticed the team and had a smile on his face. Ah, welcome back Anko-san, Naruto, Shikamaru, Hinata. Hiruzen greeted the team. How was the mission? Well, the mission was a success. We'll start with that. Anko stated as she gave her leader the scroll she got from Han before the Akatsuki attack. Hiruzen accepted it and filed it away. Then you'll have the money of the mission transferred to your account Anko. Pay your students accordingly when you get the money. Congratulations on your first C-rank mission. He told everyone with a smile. After those words, his face got serious as he turned to Anko. Based on what you said though, you have more to say don't you? Anko laughed humorlessly. Oh, you have no idea. Anoki, the sandaime Tsuchikage, mumbled as he read the mission report. Weeks ago, he sent the team in front of him on a simple escort mission featuring a brief encounter with Konoha Shinobi. It seemed a simple mission on paper. The aged Tsuchikage was legitimately surprised when he read the report and saw it was otherwise. Attacked by missing ninja? Assisted by Konoha Shinobi in the combat? Anoki repeated the odd parts of the report. He looked up from his paper and faced the team that went on this strange mission. Kuratsuchi, Risho, Roto, you three are dismissed. Han, I would like you to stay. He informed the team. Yes, Tsuchikage-sama. Risho and Roto replied in unison. Yeah. Whatever. See you at dinner tonight, Gramps. Kuratsuchi replied. Show some respect for the Tsuchikage. Risho exclaimed at his teammates' words while they walked out. He's my grandfather. I give him the respect he deserves, but I'm also going to call him what I want to call him. The IWA Kunoichi retorted. The two genin continued to argue loudly even after they left the room. Roto tried to calm his teammates down, but his efforts ended up failing. Anoki sighed in response to genin while Han chuckled slightly. She's much more mature on missions and in battle. You have a strange effect on her. Han noted to his leader. Tell me about it. Anoki sighed. Anyway, I presume you want to discuss the mission in more detail? The Gobi Jinchuriki asked. The Tsuchikage nodded. Yes. You were all vague with the report. Who exactly were these missing ninjas? That's something I wanted to discuss with you actually if you've heard of them. Han informed him. Their names were Kakuzu and Nesumurita. I recognize them. Kakuzu is an S-ranked missing ninja from Taki, while Nesumurita is high A-ranked from Kumo. The Sandaime noted with a frown. He didn't like the idea of two powerful shinobi like them attacking his shinobi. I believe they belong to some organization called Akatsuki. Han added more information. Akatsuki? Anoki's eyes widened in surprise. I recognize that name. They're a mercenary group that I hired for some jobs here and there. The old man rubbed his head, the news seemingly frustrating him. So those two missing ninjas are part of Akatsuki, huh? Why would they attack you? Why would they attack any IWA shinobi? They were after the Gobi. The IWA Jonin answered simply. Anoki's eyes widened further for a second before they narrowed in anger. He slammed his fist onto his desk, nearly breaking it. Damn them. For their sake, they better not step foot in IWA again asking for another job. I will personally murder them all. He then took a deep breath in an attempt to calm himself down before speaking again. So, you're telling me you were able to fight them off? And Konoha Shinobi actually helped with this? Correct. I'd go as far to say that without the Konoha Shinobi, I'd have been captured. Han answered. I see. Anoki frowned at the news, uncertain how he should respond. Why do you think Konoha assisted? They shouldn't have helped. Based on the details of the mission, they already completed their part. They had no reason to assist, and our villages in particular don't get along. They helped because they saw we needed help. The Gobi Jinchuriki replied. And based off some conversation I had with the Jonin sensei, Metarashi Anko, I believe Konoha wishes to mend the relationship between our villages. Anoki's eyes narrowed again in suspicion. Are you certain of this? Yes. And to be honest, I feel like we might benefit from that. Han gave his opinion. Anoki's eyes widened again, especially once Han continued to speak. The war has been over for over a decade. It's time we try and move past it for the sake of both of our villages. We are lacking in allies. Making an ally out of Konoha might be for the best. Besides, I owe them my life. I'd rather have no other village have my back. Your opinion is noted, Han. You may leave. Anoki ordered. Han nodded as he left the office, leaving Anoki alone to his thoughts. The aged Tsuchikage had heard a lot about Konoha, every bit of it contradicted what he knew from experience. He wanted to ignore Konoha's aid, but he couldn't. It also didn't help that Han, a shinobi that openly hates humanity, was speaking favorably of these Konoha shinobi, and was requesting a better relationship with the other village. None of this made any sense to Tsuchikage. Anoki needed a lot of time to think a lot about everything he heard. The Gobi Jinchuriki continued to walk out of the office, and out of the mansion. As he stepped out and into the village of IWA, he was stopped by an old man. The man had red hair and a ponytail at the very top of his head. He also had a red mustache and a red beard. He wore a light red shirt and pants with a black mesh armor underneath. He had a brown sash on his waist with a pouch attached to it. The man also wore an Iwagakure forehead protector over his head in the shape of a crown. Good afternoon, Han. You were in there for a while. What questions did that stubborn mule for a Tsuchikage ask you? The man joked. Good afternoon, Rashi. He asked me questions about my most recent mission, particularly how Konoha was involved with it. Han replied. Typical. Very typical. The man, Rashi, said with a sigh. Well, did anything interesting happen? Well, anything I would find interesting? Han nodded and actually smiled at the older man. Yes. A few things you would. Especially considering I met another one of us. Roshi gave the man a surprised look before a smirk appeared on his face. Oh? Another Jinchuriki? Well, I guess I am interested. Come on. Let's go get some tea, my treat. You're going to have to inform me everything about this. Han nodded in agreement and the two men walked off together to a nearby tea shop, ready to engage in discussion of the most recent events in Han's life. 8 silhouettes appeared on large stones surrounding a statue in the center. 7 of the silhouettes were staring at the 9th stone, noting that someone was not here. And look, Kakuzu returns alone. One of the figures stated with a laugh. His silhouette had a visible ponytail. Kill off Naruto, didn't ya? The former Taki shinobi glared in response. He's dead, yes, and if you keep pissing me off, you'll be next Deidara. Before the figure identified as Deidara could respond, Kakuzu turned his attention to the leader. Naruto was killed in combat. The mission was not as any of us anticipated. The leader's eyes narrowed on him. Explain. The Konoha shinobi interfered in the mission, something none of us failed to take into consideration. One of those Konoha shinobi also ended up being Konoha's Jinchuriki, the Kyuubi container. Naruto was killed by the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I was forced to retreat, as going against 2 Jinchuriki and 6 other shinobi alone was suicide. Kakuzu explained. The leader nodded in understanding at Kakuzu's words before he closed his eyes and thought to himself about the situation. Kyuubi, huh? Isn't that our target Itachi-san? Another figure spoke. The one speaking looked similar to a shark-human hybrid. If he was able to kill Naruto, maybe he'll be a fun hunt. Your hunt will have to wait, Kisame. The leader spoke up as he opened his eyes and ended his thinking. All missions involving testing or capturing the Jinchuriki will be put on hold for now. Let me guess, with this mission against the Gobi a failure, both Konoha and IWA will bring back news about the attack. This, in turn, will alert the other villages, putting them on guard against any threats to their Jinchuriki. Another figure stated. He was a large figure with a gruff voice that looked almost metallic, even as a silhouette. That is correct, Sasori. We are going to have to be careful for the next few months or so. I will inform you of all of your individual tasks. He stated before turning to face Kakuzu. We have a new partner for you. Make sure you don't waste this one. And be careful, Kakuzu. You in particular have probably generated a lot of suspicion. It should be expected that you'll be a target to the shinobi villages as a threat to their Jinchuriki. Kakuzu, if he was a weaker man, would have glared in response at his leader's words for reminding him of his failure and for the subtle insult about his failure. The man, however, was not a weaker man and knew he couldn't respond that way to his leader. Understood. He simply said. This meeting is dismissed. Await my orders. The leader informed everyone. The silhouettes disappeared without a trace. That's it for this reading. Hit like and subscribe for a free ticket pass going to the different worlds of anime fanfictions. Looking forward to having you on board again.